shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul. Watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated. Misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded. Watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere. Watching me. The little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye. We're the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. We the people have taken over. We the people are little brother. Standing by to dethrone each other. Watching you and watching me. Paranoid, the lens is our weapon. Desensitized in our lust for attention. Democratized by our voyeur obsessions. Watching you and watching me. Slaves to perfection. Don't let them project you as you are. Reveal your every flaw. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye. We're the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. I know you're out there somewhere. This is the new totalitarian state. 1,000 eyes are waiting for you to break. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Let your experience begin right now. From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio. You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Let us play with all our toys, they let us think that we're big boys, they let us make the louder noise, but women rule the world. They let us think we're Superman, that we're the only ones who can be strong, but we break on command, cause women rule the world.
Buckle up, space travelers, it's time to go for a ride, as we are live on Spaced Out Radio.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And the deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, and thanks for listening in at spacedoutradio.com, on Spreaker, and now on Revolution, as once again we come into tonight's show broadcasting out of Uncle Jimbo's cabin in the Great White North, live on this Wednesday night, early Thursday morning if you're on the East Coast. Here at Spaced Out Radio, we broadcast 3 hours a night, 7 days a week. We want to be your official one-stop shop when it comes to the supernatural, paranormal, conspiratorial, ufological, and so much more. If you like our music, head to our website where you'll hear the guitar god himself, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses. Bumblefoot is the official music of this show. Also, you can check us out on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. And, of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. At this time, we'd like to say hello to everyone in the Revolution Radio chat room tuning in on the High Plains Radio Network, in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, and along with our fans on Facebook at UFOria Chronicles. Chronicles of the Unknown, Forest Moon Paranormal, and our flagship chat room, the SOR Space Travelers. Have you signed up for the SOR Space Travelers Club yet? No? Well, it's only $5 a month, and with that, your name gets entered into monthly prize draws. You get access to private group interviews, access to a special section on our website, and so much more. Unlike the other guys, we're going to give you a heck of a lot more than just access to our archives. While at our website, spacedoutradio.com, you can read our latest blogs. Mine is on how this show has helped me with my depression and anxiety. And you can check out Eric Markham's SOR Space Wire for your latest and weird news. Tonight's show is brought to you by Rivulet Reiki and Readings, providing healings in person or to distance. PurplePlates.com, helping heal your body, mind, and soul. The New Agora newspaper is the official paper of this show, and the iTunes app Spirit Story Box, it's the official ghost hunting app of SOR. Remember, if you're a listener of Revolution Radio, it is the largest nonprofit online radio online. Take the time to visit freedomslips.com and donate today. We had some technical problems the last couple of nights. And I just want to get this clear to our listeners, because last night's show we got shut down a couple of minutes before. I am upgrading my modem. It will be here next week. I talked to my cable company that actually takes care of my internet, and we kind of discussed the problem, and we're going to be getting a new modem that's a little bit more powerful as of next week, so all of the technical issues that are probably happening on this end should be cleared up ASAP. So give it a little bit of a break. If you lose the show, just hit refresh, and it should pop back up ASAP. So just bear with me another week until we get the new modem set up, and we should be good to go. For the last few months, we've been introducing you to Audrey by UFOria Chronicles investigator James Borg. James met Audrey through an online conversation, and the story that Audrey gave James, well, let's just say it comes right out of a science fiction book. Too good to be true, as some would say. You see, Audrey isn't his real name, but he has a human form, but he isn't really human. Audrey came here about 40-plus years ago and spent some time actually at Area 51 before escaping into freedom. He looks human, as far as fetched as that story will sound. I have personally vetted Audrey out, and believe me, and I believe him, to be the real deal. Audrey comes from the Pleiades, and he's stuck here for right now. And the rest, well, he'll tell you a little bit later in the show when he joins us. Audrey first came out publicly on this show about 4 months back, and we welcome James back again from UFOria Chronicles, but we have a special guest tonight, Samantha Mowat, who does the ET Experience right here on Spaced Out Radio the second Tuesday of every month. James and Sam, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Good. James, how's the people's mullet doing?
Well, I had a haircut this morning, but I didn't touch the back, so those mullet's still growing.
Good. You know how I feel about that hair. You know how I feel.
Oh, yeah. I feel the same way about it, too.
It is hockey season after all, starting this weekend, James, and I got to tell you, I made a move today. I did. I made a hockey move today.
What was that?
Number one, I got the little guy registered in skating lessons.
Good for you.
Okay, because we officially are on a time limit. There's only 15 hockey seasons left before his 2031 NHL entry draft. And if my psychic friend's predictions, including Moo from Barry Strom, the extraterrestrial that he channels, are true, little SOR will be a draft pick of the Detroit Red Wings in the first round of 2031. And I've heard that from about 5 different psychics and 1 channeling session. So I'm pretty happy about that. The other thing I did today involving hockey, James, and sorry, Samantha, I know you're not a hockey fan, even though you're Canadian. You're one of the odd ones out there. But
my kids are in skating, too.
Perfect. Well, the other thing I did was my hometown here has a Junior B hockey team, and they are the Western Canadian champions, defending. I'm actually going to be billeting a couple of those players because I think the influence of bringing the great sport of hockey to my young son will be very, very healthy for him, and he will be able to admire these young hockey players. They're about 18, 19 years old if they make the team. He'll be able to, look upon them and hopefully, like I did when my parents billeted hockey players back when I was my son's age, that he'll be able to fall in love with the game and get some local heroes and start from there. You know what I'm saying, James?
That is fantastic. That's a brilliant idea. That's fantastic what you're doing. I never had that option with when I was growing up, but the fact that you're doing that's amazing. Speaking of hockey season began already. It began Monday, and at 7 o'clock my time tomorrow morning, I got to be up and going because I got to drive my son to his training camp with last day of training camp.
Nice.
And so hockey season's begun in Ontario.
Well, it's kicking off this week right now. As of tomorrow, training camps open up here around the province, so I'm excited. I'm always excited to get a little bit of hockey in, That's just the way I am, You can tell the Canadianism is coming out, and I'm sure that some people will actually be like, why the hell is this guy talking so much hockey? This is an alien conspiracy show, damn it. They're getting into it. But I promise you, we will get into the aliens and all sorts of stuff like that. Anyways.
We're crazy Canucks, Dave. We're crazy Canucks.
Absolutely.
Crazy Canucks loves hockey, right? He's got
Absolutely.
the hockey stick right in the closet, ready to go at any time. By the back door, we have the back sliding door. When we go out of the house here, we've got about 25 hockey sticks at our disposal, right? So I guess the Americans have a baseball bat handy. We got the hockey sticks handy.
I'm staring at 2 right now. I'm staring at 2. So it works for me, man. It works for me.
Right on.
Anyways, let's get into why you guys are here tonight. Samantha Mowat is here because she obviously has some fantastic extraterrestrial connection, including with the Pleiades system. Audrey, who's going to be joining us in just a little bit, is from the Lyran part of the Pleiades. So Samantha wanted to join in and just see what we could do to spark a conversation here in regards to, she's pretty excited to chat with Audrey, and I figured, hell, let's bring her on the air as well. I mean, everybody's going to learn tonight about what it's all about, so might as well do it. So I appreciate you joining us tonight, Samantha, to get you on an off night, it's pretty fantastic.
I'm so excited to chat with you guys. It's going to be fun.
Right on.
So, did you guys hear the news that apparently a Russian group of astronomers picked up a signal that they believe is an alien signal from another planet? Now,
wow.
I don't know why, that this might be news, considering everything that is going on and everything that is, we know they've been here already. Is this actually news, James, in your opinion? Should this be news?
Yeah, well, it should be, because when you look at ufology, there's when people get in ufology, you always get in raw, right? So the person that knows very little about the ET UFO subject, it's a good way to break them in slowly, right? And what better way to start with the stepping stones of the SETI or the Russian counterparts and stuff like that for ET contact. I know it's outdated and stuff like that, and they got many more modern means of communication, and there's all these other stories about the secret space program and everything else, but it's a good way to step them into the fold, right? The movie Contact with Jodie Foster, one of my favorite movies, as a matter of fact. The part when she actually blasted off, but she didn't really blast off, but she did blast off, that was amazing. In fact, they showed some technology there. It's called a graviton engine. So those that would know, right? But that's that part where she's taking off and the thing's revolving in counterclockwise and clockwise and horizontal direction really, really fast. That's actually a graviton engine, which is a lot of crafts have graviton engines.
I'm going to quickly read the story so everybody can get caught up if you haven't read it yet. And this is from the CBC News here in Canada. It says, a Russian space telescope has detected a strong signal from a nearby star that could mean the existence of extraterrestrial beings. But the lone observation needs to be replicated before any concrete conclusions are made, according to a Canadian scientist. And they go on saying the Russian radio telescope Raton 600 was aimed at a small patch of sky and received a strong signal as star HD 164595 moved through its view. According to Ken Tapping, a scientist at the NRC's Dominion Radio Astrophysical Observatory near Penticton, British Columbia, the emission could be from an advanced radio transmitter on a nearby planet. He says, and it's quoted as saying, the strength of the signal is such that the transmitter power would be bigger than any transmitter we could possibly make here on Earth. According to Tapping, it is possible extraterrestrial beings could either be directly or indirectly sending the signal to Earth. SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, is currently investigating the signal. Following the Russian discovery, the question on Tapping's mind is quite simple. If they're pointing it in our direction, why? He said, there is a million directions you could point the radio telescope. He says it would take 100 years for a radio signal to reach Earth from HD 164,595, but he questions whether or not the signal was sent on purpose. Now, that's a pretty smart guy. I've never met him, and now that I know he's from British Columbia here, I'm actually going to try and get him on this show to see if he would come talk about this. And I'll try and book something for October with him. But when you hear something like that, and we talk about the secret space program, do you think that maybe, just maybe, there are other societies out there, other species out there, that are just as curious about space as we are, because maybe they are as infantile as mankind is, James?
Yes, definitely, yeah.
So do you think they're searching for us?
I think a lot of eyes have been on us for quite a long time. There's still those rules of non-interference, and it seems, from what I've encountered, all the benevolent species are trying to uphold that. And that's my biggest argument. I'm saying, no, guys, we're meeting you 50% of the way, halfway there. Like, come on in. Like, we're inviting you. You've got my permission, right? Because it seems the malevolent ones are already doing all kinds of stuff on Earth. And some of the stuff, they're not exactly good things. So we want to try to get as many of the good girls and guys in here as possible as far as ET species goes, and help society on Earth evolve in a benevolent way.
Samantha, what's your opinion on that? Because with your extraterrestrial contact that you have had, have any of these beings ever told you or had a conversation with you about other star systems and possible life there that's just as young as mankind?
They haven't discussed whether it was as young as mankind. Typically, when I've been off-planet or taken onto craft, I'm either going onto craft for school or healing, or if I'm taken off-planet, it's typically to show me something. From what I've experienced, they haven't shown me very young systems or very young different societies or cultures from out there. However, what they have shown me is a very strong interest in raising humanity's awareness of benevolent extraterrestrial races and asking me to get them to send their energy up to be like, hey, look, we'd like contact. The more of us that say they'd like to have contact with benevolent species, the more they're able to actually come in and assist us. And that's part of why they have me do what I'm doing. I'm not sure if that fully answers your question or not.
Well, what do you think about this signal that's coming out? Do you think that this would be an alien-type signal, maybe looking for us as the public eye, not the government side, but the public eye is looking for them?
I believe it could be an extraterrestrial signal, yes. However, they would have had this technology for a long time, the majority of the species that are out there. They would have been broadcasting that for a very long period of time, waiting for us to finally catch up and hear it.
100 years for that signal to go through. That's in human time, of course. Do you think that signal was sent a century ago, James, or do you think it's probably new, but with the technology that would be on the other side, that it's getting here a little bit quicker than what we could ever perceive?
Well, considering when all the SETI stuff started, which is probably the 40s, 50s, 60s, the first messages sent would probably take a little bit of time, considering the technology we had back then. However, saying that, there's the other side of the fence, which is the secret space programs that have better technology and have better ways of doing stuff. Having said that as well, there's the TV transmissions, TV and radio transmissions. Did you know that when our radio is heard in outer space? Did you know our TV broadcasts, especially when TV was like the good old days in the 60s and 70s when we had those antennas at the side of the house, they were also sending transmissions that were flying in outer space. So as a result, white noise or radio noise going in outer space, there's tons of it all the time, and we've already sent all kinds of messages, because a simple radio broadcast like we're having now, and a TV broadcast from the past, from the 70s via the antenna, have already went to space. saying that, yes, it takes a little bit of time to travel, but when you're bombarded with all the transmissions we're sending, a lot of times people just like pick up the phone. It's like getting a crank call, or not a crank call, like a solicitor calling your phone. And you look at the phone and you see the call display and you say, I don't know this number. But I mean, after a while, when you get like 20 phone calls, you're probably going to pick up the phone and go, hello, what do you want, more or less, right? So I think that's probably what they're doing, is they're probably sending a signal back and saying, okay, hello, what do you want? Here we are, and stuff like that. They're calling our bluff, so to speak. But it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I think it's great, because the more species that we have here, it's a multi-universe. And having said that, there's a whole plethora of ET beings out there, and so there's bound to be a lot of great beings out there, and I think it'd be fantastic, right?
Do you think, Samantha, that maybe that's a signal of them maybe trying to call one of their ships back from Earth or back from our solar system?
No, I don't feel that's the case at all. I feel as though it's just them trying to make contact with us, even at a level that people would be comfortable with. They're not an invasive race. Well, races overall, they're really not. I'd say it's like a 60-40, 70-30 split when it comes to benevolent to malevolent. I don't think they'd be trying to contact their own ships using such a primitive and slow method. It doesn't make sense to me.
So you being on the intuitive side, when I read that story, did you pick anything up?
Not tonight, Dave. Sorry.
Well, I had to ask, That's just the way it goes. I did have to ask.
I've had way too much coffee today.
Well, I did have an ice cream sandwich, I'm not going to lie. I did break the trend today of eating healthy. I'm blaming the wife for that. So, that's just the way it is. James, you mentioned earlier about the secret space program. And if there is a secret space program, which I tend to believe that there is, because I've just heard too many people talk about it, too many people whom I know and trust their opinions and their information and knowledge. Do you think that this would be a familiar signal that we heard? Or do you think that this is maybe something that maybe skipped through the secret space program, that it was accidentally caught by this Russian satellite?
Well, you know what? My intuition is saying that this is a message that did slip through. And the fact that it's a Russian that picked it up, I think it's legitimate. I think it's actually happened, and it's not baloney. And the Russians, as of late, they're very open with a lot of things. And Putin did say a few years ago, he said, look, you better break the silence at UFOs or somebody else will, right? And when he made that statement, that's about 2 years ago. So I think we're inching forward to disclosure. To tell you the truth, we've already had disclosure, but a lot of people don't accept it. Right? Like the disclosure movement, God love them and everything else, but I mean, it's right in front of their nose, and they're not looking in the right places. All of them aren't.
True, and I understand with what you're saying, James. But a lot of people on this planet, they need that scientific discovery. They're not going to believe someone like you or someone like me or someone like Samantha or even Audrey for that matter, because it hasn't been proven in the so-called quote-unquote mainstream, whether that's the mainstream media, whether that's, whatever you want to put it. People need that proof, and their proof is when the mainstream picks it up.
But even that statement that you just said now, that's a falsehood, because it's only in North America that the mainstream media hasn't picked it up. You go Mexico, you go Brazil, you go most of the places in South America, and it's on their 6 o'clock news. They show UFO reports on the 6 o'clock news. I think it was Bolivia and a couple other countries released all their UFO files, made them public, and that was going back about 5 years ago. So, I mean, all this finger-pointing, they want America to come out and say, yes, ETs are real. I think that's what's going on. I mean, other countries have already made the claims ET's real, right? The Russian prime minister, I think it was Prime Minister Medvedev, he went public. That's right. He went public and he said ET is real. And there's the Russian alien book, and he was referencing from. So, I mean, the world itself as a whole, there's been people in those countries, in many countries, that have already disclosed. So I don't know why everybody's saying, well, who's going to be the first? Well, they've already said it. Bolivia is a country, right? They've announced it already, right? Now, I know Bolivia is like a third world country, but it's still classified as a country, and they went public. Mexico, they're doing the same, right? You look at Jaime Maussan, the work that he's doing in Mexico. God, he's amazing for the work he's doing in ufology, right? He's a forefront runner. He's a main media guy, and he's always talking about UFOs. He's the main guy in South America. He's the go-to guy, and he's been public with UFOs for, oh boy, at least 10 years, maybe more, right? So I think disclosure's already been made. Right, but I don't know. There's a lot of people here with the disclosure movement saying, well, we want proof. Now, here's another thing. There's that thing about, oh, well, we want them to land on the White House lawn or at Parliament Hill in Canada. Well, number one, there's no flying zones there, right? So, I mean, if anything's going to fly over, you're going to get the military involved, right? And nobody wants to create wars, especially the ETs out there, right? So that's my opinion on that one.
Samantha, do you think with this signal that was caught, do you think that, and let's face it, this isn't the first time that a signal has been caught, but do you think that this is going to be one of those stories that is quickly swept under the rug and pushed to the side as quickly as possible? Because usually stories like this, or anything to deal with any type of conspiracy or controversy is very much eliminated very quickly from the mainstream media.
I feel as though you're correct when you make that statement, Dave. They're going to have some celebrity thing come out pretty quick to distract all the normal people and forget all about this pretty quick. Seems like the standard protocol when it comes to any experience within the scientific community or even within the public. If there's anything regarding UFOs, extraterrestrials, or even something very strongly paranormal, they tend to sweep it under the rug as quickly as they can.
So do you think right now there's a big scramble, maybe somewhere in the depths of Area 51 or Wright-Patterson Air Force Base or somewhere in Washington, D.C., where the government scientists are scrambling on trying to figure out how to get this out of the way and gone as quick as possible?
I don't imagine it'll take them very long to determine how to get rid of it. They've got both sides on their team. You have to remember they have the human side and then they have the extraterrestrials with their technology as well. Really, any craft that does come down, they can adapt that technology, unfortunately.
Yeah, I tend to agree there, Dave.
Yeah, I agree. Samantha has a good point. But I guess what I'm trying to get at here is it seems like, even though, James, you said we already have disclosure, many countries have already come out and spilled the beans on what they know. We're all waiting for the two bigwigs to do it. The United States and, for the most part, Great Britain. Okay? China has let some stuff out, so has Russia. Not enough. Okay? Not enough. Not enough to make it to the mainstream here. But it is interesting that in 2016, for a tough year that it has been for a lot of people, we've seen in this presidential election that's going down the talk of aliens and extraterrestrials on the Democratic side with John Podesta and Hillary Clinton. Now we see a signal coming. It kind of equates to me, even though they're quite a distance apart, it equates to me that we could be getting closer to something imminent here. Samantha, what is your thoughts on that?
I think we are getting closer to something imminent, but I do feel as though the way the American election is currently going, it seems that they're really trying to distract us from other things right now. And once that is all said and done, all settled, then we could see something quite large coming forward. That is my feeling on it, and that's my intuitive perspective.
James, do you think that there is something to this, that you go from what is happening on the Democratic side of the U.S. politics straight to this signal becoming public?
For sure. Like there's the big in ufology. Now, I don't share this opinion because I know the family history of the Clintons. They're always pushing Hillary for the possible disclosure president. And, Steve Bassett's pushing all this and everything else. And I love Steve Bassett's work, and he's a great man for what he's done. But despite all that, if you look at the family's background, it's meddled in dark magic and nefarious activities. So I don't support her and everything else. And on the same token, Trump, I don't know. It's I'd rather have Trump myself as president over Hillary, right? But I still don't think they have the right candidates to run a country like the United States of America, the great country of the United States of America, right? I think they need somebody that's somebody like a James Gillian down at the City Ranch. You get a guy like that or that equivalent. Phenomenal, right?
James would, and I like James, but there is no way he's presidential material. No way. Not so.
No, they can't control him.
No, because he's very spiritual. All right, and that's why. But my choice would be a guy like that because I would rather have a spiritual president or prime minister.
Okay, but you do have Andrew Basiago running.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Okay, you do have Andrew Basiago running, and
there's a guy named Stephen Kelly as well who's running. Right, I like Stephen Kelly's platform as well, and Basiago's as well too. Right. But the thing about both guys, okay, both those guys, I would throw my support to as well. But they're not getting them, like you said, the mainstream coverage. Right, so when the guy in Dakota goes to go vote, or South Dakota, or North Dakota, or Omaha, or wherever, right, is he going to cast a vote for Stephen D. Kelly or Andrew Basiago? They don't have the publicity that's going around. It's like back in the day when there was when they ran against, there was three candidates. There was Reagan, there was a guy from the South there. He was very popular.
Was that Dukakis?
No, before that. He was a Texas billionaire that was running.
Are you talking Ross Perot?
That's the guy. Yeah,
okay, that was George Bush, not Reagan.
George Bush, okay. Now, back in those days, okay, when they actually had three guys running, and I used to go to Florida a lot, all right? The entire South was supporting Ross Perot. And when you heard him talk, it seemed like everybody wanted him to win. And then when he didn't win, it's like, whoa, wait a second. I was in the States. Everybody wanted him to win. What happened there? And that was my first inclination that there could be some kind of fraudulent balloting system, right? And that happened in the 80s, right? And Perot was a free thinker. He was a free spirit, right? Similar to like a Jesse Ventura type, right? Guys like that I would actually prefer. Trump shows that a little bit as well, right? But I'd rather have a free thinker than who's going to make up his own decisions and follow the status quo, right? But the problem with all that is once they're elected, they go into meetings and they meet the crowd. They meet the crowd behind the politics, and then things happen, and then it all gets corrupted from there, right?
But wouldn't we be better off looking at the historical genealogy of each of the families to determine which one is going to actually win? Because I believe it's something like more than 9/10 of all the American presidents up until this point have all been related to King Henry or King George. It doesn't seem like they're branching too far from the tree, and I don't believe that realistically anything's going to change no matter whether it's Hillary or Trump. We're getting the same cards laid out.
No, I agree with you there, and it's true what you just said. If you do the research, anybody out there, Samantha Mowat's bang on the money right there.
Which is disheartening.
Well, you know what? We just can't hug it out, but let's pick it up a little bit because I don't want to talk politics. I really don't.
Neither do I, Dave.
But I do want to talk about the secret space program. James, how did you first find out about the secret space program?
Yeah, good question. Wow. I don't know. If I was to, I guess with the many videos I've watched on the Secret Space program, I guess the MKUltra stuff that was coming out of the 80s, I said to myself, well, gee whiz, there's something behind that. And I actually got solicited when I was in my 80s, when I was in the 1980s as a young teenager, when I was skipping off school and going to Yonge Street all the time, I got solicited. And I met a girl there that says, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. And she wanted to get me into the Church of Scientology. And she goes, oh, come on down for a meeting, blah, blah, blah. And I really didn't know what was going on. Then when I seen this church, I said, no, thanks. I said, no, it's okay. I don't want to go in. And then I heard a lot of stories that tie into places like the Church of Scientology or MKUltra. I also found out Toronto was a hotbed for MKUltra.
Wow.
Do you think that's
amazing? I had no idea.
Do you think Toronto is a hotbed for MKUltra because of the populace there? And it's a multicultural city, one of the most multicultural in the world, with 8 million people. It's the fourth largest market in North America. Do you think that's why they really started picking up on people in there, especially with the easy access to the United States? And we just lost James. Are you still there, Samantha?
I'm still here.
Okay, we got to pick up James again here. Bear with me. James's line kind of went dead here. Let's pick him up. Let's see.
You reached James and Susan Borg after
well,
that.
That would not be him. Oh, for God's sakes. Now I just hung up on everybody. This isn't good. Old Davy's having some issues here. Hold on 1 second. We're going to get everybody back. We're going to get everybody back. Why? Because we can. This is what happens when you try and do way too much at way too little of time. So, we're going to get James back. Or we're going to get Samantha back first. And then we're going to get the studio back. 1 second. It's like playing Jeopardy here right now.
Hello.
Hi, that was my fault. I accidentally hung up. Hold on. What a rookie error for tonight. What a rookie error. You know?
You're juggling. It happens.
Well, you know what? And I'm just going to bring Revolution Radio back in. If you're listening on Revolution Radio, I screwed up. I accidentally hit the hang up button. So you can blame my rookie mistake on that. So I apologize. Let's try and get James back here now. So now I got to find James's number. Bear with me. I had it there for a second. Yes, James is saying his call was cut off, which then I went and cut all of you off. So what a rookie mistake. You know.
But you know what, Dave? I mean, you're talking about these kind of topics. It's going to happen.
I know. But you know what? I'll tell you. And it just... I'm getting a new modem for my computer. And I'm going to be getting it next week. That's a lot faster, a lot better, because I went and complained to Shaw Cable up here. And if you hear the ringing, there's James's... That's James' phone number. Let's see if he'll
Perfect.
pick up.
I hope so.
Hello.
Hey, there you are.
Hey, how are you, buddy?
Absolutely. So, anyways,
Welcome back.
Right?
I'm just explaining to everybody right now that I think my modem cannot handle the stress of this show because we got a lot of things going on at the exact same time. So next week, I'm asking you all to just bear with me here in regards to the cutouts and everything like that. Thank you for letting me know in the chat rooms, because I hate when that happens. And to me, it makes it so unprofessional. And trust me, you don't hear the swear words that I am using with my microphone on mute and the frustration that goes through that when all of a sudden I'm like, no sound, I don't hear anything. Where'd the signal go? I've lost everything. Yeah, I read it all. So next week, I'm actually, like I said, I talked to my cable company today. Actually, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting a new modem that has more memory. I don't know. I'm not a technical guy, but they say it'll be able to help, especially for what we are doing with this show on a nightly basis. So you're going to have to bear with me for about a week until I get that set up, and then we will get things going. So I apologize for the little snafu tonight. Forgive me. Please forgive me, my beautiful audience, and James's mullet. Please.
No problem, buddy. I think we get that a lot, actually. You wouldn't believe sometimes I'm having conversations on the computer, and sometimes my computer just shuts off. All right? Doesn't
Mine
happen.
Too. 4 times today.
4 times today. Well, there you go. Wow. Okay, so that's exactly. These are the things they use to interfere or cause interference.
Well,
but anyway,
you know what the frustrating part for me, and I know we're kind of getting off topic here, but I'm going to say the frustrating part for me is with my terrestrial radio background, I'm used to a hard signal. I'm used to equipment that continually works. I'm still not used to, and it's almost been 2 years. I'm still not used to all of this online stuff, because so much can happen online that is just ridiculous. Like it doesn't seem that anybody, maybe it's just me, or maybe I'm doing something wrong, or maybe it's where I live, or whatever it is. It's frustrating as hell to me to have to go through this on a nightly basis with the cutting out and everything. And I'll be talking, once I get my new modem next week, I'll be talking to, if the cutting out continues, I will be talking to Spreaker and to Revolution Radio to see if there's anything we can do to try and improve everything on this end, because when you're trying to build something like we are building, and we have some pretty good momentum here with this show.
Big time.
You know, the one thing that can really set you back, not the regulars, not the people who've made that emotional connection to this show, and I see you all in the chat rooms, and I read your comments, and you're all really beautiful. But the one thing I will say is, it really, really hurts that first-time listener who might be wanting to give this show a shot, who might be looking for that show because they're not happy with what they are hearing on other networks, terrestrial or online. And one of these days, Lord help me, I want to figure out how I can get that signal clean. Because if I can get that signal clean, I don't think there's anything that will stop us. I really don't. Because every time a technical issue like that happens, unfortunately, you actually do lose someone, or you lose 2, or you lose 3, or when it goes back to replay of the show the night before, that's not what people are listening for. Like tonight, they're here to listen to you, James. They're listening to you, Samantha. They're here to hear Audrey when he calls in to come on. So that's my rant, and I'm going to stick with that, and thank you for all your support on that. So let's just run with it. Hell with it. Let's talk aliens.
As you should, Dave. As a host, that's for sure. Your points are very valid. I also agree with internet radio. There's a lot of things that happen. I thought it was just Blog Talk Radio, but it seems to be crossing into other venues of internet radio as well. I thought it was very ironic when you were asking me the question about MKULTRA in Toronto, and boom, I get cut off, right? I was about to answer the question, and bang, I got cut off, right? So, I mean, that's them reacting to us, I think.
Well, I need someone who can actually capture a couple of radio towers for me and, go, if pirate radio wasn't illegal, I would totally steal signal. I would totally steal, but, the corporations don't like that.
Dave. It's funny you say that. I was studying Earl Bruce Knapp. I was researching Earl Bruce Knapp, who recently died, by the way. He was a very big public radio guy, especially in the Toronto area. He's also worked in Phoenix, and he started in England. He started on a ship that was actually the first pirate radio, and it was actually on a ship. And that lasted for a couple years, and it brought rock and roll to England. And then it took about 2 years, and then the legislation of England kiboshed the whole thing. So that's where it all started. Anyway, hats off to Bruce Errol Knapp, right? But rest in peace. You still there, Dave? And Samantha, you still there?
Oh, yeah, we're all here.
I am.
We're
Cool.
we're listening to you, my friend. We're listening to you. Samantha, when you first found out that you had, I don't want to say contact, that's not the right word for it, but when you first had experiences and knowledge of the Pleiades, how old were you when that happened? When did you realize that?
I didn't realize they were Pleiades, but I started going to school on craft at about 16, 17. I started learning how to manipulate energy, how to play with energy. I didn't know it was energy at the time. And I started seeing these very similar-looking humanoid beings quite regularly. And I was wondering, why am I dreaming about these same people over and over? And I didn't realize at the time I was astral projecting out of my body and being taken up on craft and being taught how to understand energy and psychic abilities and things of that nature. So I'd say about 20 when I started to figure out that they were about humans, so 2009-ish, give or take.
Oh, you're so young.
Does that help?
You're so young.
Yes, I am. That's okay.
I know. I look at your gorgeous red hair and I think, geez, mine is like silver. It
That's
makes
okay.
me...
I'm going white. I'm excited. In 15 years, I'll have white hair. It'll be fun.
Yes. Then you'll have to get long fingernails and rings on each finger. And I don't know. I'm just making fun now. So, when did you start to when you were getting to learn
about
all of
20.
this? So you're 20 years old. Most 20-year-olds at that time are going to the bar, having fun with their friends, or they're studying in college, or they're trying to figure out what they want to do in life. And here you are on an extremely different path, way out of left field. How did you feel about yourself? I realize I
felt awesome about me. I don't mean that in an arrogant way, but I grew up, like my mom worked in a strip bar as a waitress, and I was a dancer. I need to clarify that. So to me, going to a bar had absolutely no appeal. And I'm a very transient person. I typically move every year because I feel that pull and energy to move. I need to go somewhere different. I need to go find that one place that really resonates. And I felt great about exploring psychic abilities and trying to figure out what it was I was learning on the other side. It made sense to me. It concreted what I already felt in my heart.
But did you not feel that you ever missed out on a regular young adulthood, from childhood to a young adulthood? And the reason why I ask that is Miriam Delicado, who has been on this show, she's an extremely gifted personality when it comes to alien contact. And believe it or not, her contact happened about a mile outside the town that I live in. And when she had her contact at 22, she almost looked at it as a curse, because here she was, all her friends are going out, they're partying, they're having fun, they're going camping, going out to the beach and having, marshmallows by a fire, and here she was at 22 years old with nobody believing her, nobody wanting to believe her that she was an alien contactee.
But that's where my experiences differ from Miriam's. My family, I grew up having stuff like Ancient Aliens as a normal part of my family, watching TV. When I was little, I would go to school, and I was so excited by these black books that my parents had that were about UFOs and mysticism and energy and Bigfoot and stuff like that. To me, that was what I was excited to bring for show and tell in elementary school. So when I was having these encounters on craft and when I was astral projecting, it didn't seem weird to me. I didn't feel like I was being robbed of my childhood or my adulthood. It made sense to me, and it kind of made me feel more grounded in this reality. And it made me feel like, okay, if this has happened to me, there's got to be other people like me, because these people wrote these books, and I'm seeing these other people on the other side. Clearly, guides bring me people who are like me, and I'll have people that understand and who understand me.
Joe Algier has posted a picture of you in the SOR Space Travelers, and Gloria and Claudia are like, oh, she's so gorgeous. Beautiful. Just beautiful.
Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you.
Yes. And I got an up-close and personal look on Sunday when her and I were hanging out together with Mrs. SOR, just chilling by the fire.
And you had a fire.
We did. We had a nice outdoor fire that was going very fun. So that was good. James, when you hear what Samantha was saying in regards to this, is something that she has always been comfortable with. You're someone who has struggled with the comfortability of this with your own experiences. I would like you to explain why you struggle with your own.
Okay. I come from a very, how do I say it? Illuminated family. And when I say illuminated family, no, I don't mean secret societies. So what I'm saying about that is both sets of my family, my father's side, my mother's side, if you look back at the family history, both have royalty in them, believe it or not. The Douglas clan in Scotland was supposed to have the kingship of Scotland during the William Wallace time, just afterward. And if you look at my dad's side, it's Borg, right? My surname, Borg. It's actually a Danish royal family. Having said that, both sets of families also had a lot of paranormal experiences in the 40s, in the 50s, right? In Malta and in Canada as well. Now, when I was growing up, my first paranormal experiences happened when I was 9, okay? And I wasn't really aware of what was going on. I was when I seen the ghost of my grandfather, right? I did know it was a ghost, and we got the news a few hours later he died. But growing up, and when Samantha was grabbing her parents' books, I was going to the library. I was taking out books, and I researched the occult extensively. So now what happened was, when I was 13, 14, 15, all my friends in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, that used to hang out with me, and I used to throw a lot of good parties back in the day, a lot of paranormal stuff would happen. And there was a mystique about me. With that mystique came a lot of stuff like, I'll give you an example. I had the nickname of Satan, okay, which was a nickname I despised. I hated it, all right? Now, can you imagine being a teenager and everybody's calling you Satan? Like, that's not too good of a way to pick up girls when you're trying to pick up girls. So more or less, I had to leave town completely just to have a social life, because in Mississauga, I was known as Satan, right? Because of all the paranormal activity that was happening and witnessed by many. So my first sets of girlfriends were all in Toronto, right? As opposed to living in Mississauga, the suburb of Toronto. Right, so I had a lot of great difficulty growing up that way, right? As I started dating girls and everything else, that kind of calmed me down and grounded me, and was a really good thing for me, right? But yeah, as a teen growing up in Mississauga, yeah, I had a tough time, especially in school, right? I was also indigo, right? So I was the first stage indigo. What's an indigo do? Well, they do different things from normal people. They read subjects that normal people don't really read, like the paranormal, like all the stuff we talk about on your radio show, right? So I was kind of a little rough with me, right? But I overcame it, and I accepted it. For a while, I left it, because then I discovered my social life, and that took first priority for, oh boy, about maybe 2 decades. And then I met my wife, and I calmed down even more, and then shortly after we got married, then it started up again, right? And it actually made my wife a believer. When I first met my wife, she was a skeptic on everything. She didn't believe in ghosts. She didn't believe in UFOs. And it had to be experiences that happened to her that opened her eyes and said, wow, okay, I'm a believer in ghosts now. Wow, I'm a believer in UFOs, because now she's actually seeing it. And that's the thing. When you see something with your own two eyes, it makes you a believer, right? So that was a bit about my childhood.
I agree.
There.
That is very, very tough for a lot of people, because I couldn't imagine what it would be like being called Satan of all things. Like,
it's terrible.
I can see that, Like, when and we only got a couple of minutes here before we go to break, James. When did you finally get over that stigma?
Well, that's a tough question. I had to use a lot of stuff. I'll be honest up front. How's the words I'm going to say? I used to take a lot of intoxicants to cope, right? And that happened for a good, like I said, about 2 decades, right? I used to drink with a flair. Ironically, I've curved all that. Once in a while, I'll have a day where we're at the cottage or camping, and gee whiz, I'll have a few beers, or I'll have a few rum and cokes or whatever, right? That happens every maybe 3-4 months. So that's my way of coping still to this day. As far as the air stuff goes, I've done a great job in curbing all that. But it's been a lifelong struggle. I also, like you, I struggle with depression, right? When you look at the world and you know what's going around, you know about the Illuminati, you know about the cabal, gee whiz, that's depressing in itself, right? And so I needed an outlet to cope. Nowadays, I'm finding other outlets, and I'm trying to be happy as much as possible. And I'm trying to deal with stuff, right?
Well, just keep that mullet growing, because that makes me happy. I'm not going to lie. It makes me very happy.
Oh, I will. I'm never going to cut it again.
I love it. I love it. Now, Samantha, if we could get you in a mullet, that would be just outstanding as well.
I've shaved my head before, and I'm not cutting my hair again.
Oh,
but thank you.
On that note, we're going to hop out for our first break of the night. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. James Borg, Samantha Mowat, and soon Audrey will be joining us. We'll be right back.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, news director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with UFOria. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions.
Have you ever wondered about those weird and strange creatures people have reported throughout history? Do you wonder if those stories are real? Me too, and that's why I started Cryptopia.us. Hey, this is Rob Morphy, crypto historian. Join me once a month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will get into the odd and bizarre reports, from the Dover Demon to hairy hominids and everything in between. I will break down what people like you and me are seeing at spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
From British Columbia to Northern California, Pacific North Weird has Cascadia covered. Check out our feature videos at spacedoutradio.com, where I, Vincent Zunza, and my super sleuth partner Alexandra Sullivan track down the weird and strange stories from around the Pacific Northwest. From Bigfoot to Mel's Hole and everything in between. This is what makes life exciting. So why report the normal when we can report the Pacific North Weird right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Oh, there's only one way to rock. Loud and proud. In high definition. Radio 702 rocks. Las Vegas.
Have you ever had an extraterrestrial experience? One you just couldn't explain? Well, maybe I can help. Hello, I am Samantha Mowat. On the second Tuesday of each month, I will join Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio to bring a human aspect to ET contact. It's something I've lived with my entire life, and I'd love to help you understand. Let's share our experiences. The ET Experience, the second Tuesday of each month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Reveal Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrr.wix.com/rivuletrr&r.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness. You can come hang out with me, James Tyson, and Spaced Out Weekend. We're starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium, Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Do you have a topic or a guest that you'd like to hear on Spaced Out Radio? Let us know at spacedoutradio.com, where you can sign up to become a Space Traveler member today. Or you can find us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on our Facebook page, Spaced Out Radio Show. Welcome back, Space Travelers, to Spaced Out Radio tonight. Tomorrow night on the show, September 1st, we are talking Bigfoot. Bono Russell will join us tomorrow night as we talk about the big hairy Sasquatch that's roaming around North America. I always love a good Bigfoot show. What a good way to kick off the month. Remember, You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. And our website is spacedoutradio.com. While there, you could spend the $5 if you want. Join the SOR Space Travelers Club. You can also read our latest blogs, listen to our music from the guitar god himself, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses. He is the official music of this show. And you can read up on the SOR Spacewire from our news director, Eric Markham. Tonight we are talking with Audrey, James Borg from UFOria Chronicles, and Samantha Mowat from the ET Experience that happens here the second Tuesday of every month. Welcome, you three. Audrey, good to have you back.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Now, since, Audrey, that you have come out publicly in regards to, and that was a very, hard decision for you to come out publicly that you are an extraterrestrial being from the Pleiades. What has changed since you came out on this show 4 months ago?
I've been on the radio with Wolf Spirit Radio a lot recently, talking with the audience there and the radio hosts. They're all wonderful people. Aside from that, I would say that not a whole lot has changed. I have maintained my meditation schedule, as I always do. And I don't get much sleep anymore because a lot of the radio broadcasts I've been on lately have been in the morning. So that's okay.
Were you surprised, or have you felt a little overwhelmed at all by the amount of exposure that all of a sudden people want you to bring to their radio shows or their radio networks? Because, let's face it, there's not a lot of extraterrestrial beings out there like you who actually want to take part in media programs.
It's always overwhelming, but it's a necessary thing.
And I understand that. What makes it necessary for you, though?
I feel that everyone deserves to know the truth, that we are here and we do exist, that they have the power to stand up for themselves, that they don't need to subscribe to their cabal's tyranny here. They can all rise up as a collective front, as a united collective front, and make their intentions clear, and their cabal will back down.
Why did you wait so long to come out publicly? You've been here a number of decades, and this isn't your first time here on the planet Earth, but it's only been here, or it's only been the last little bit here, as in 2016, where you have decided to come out publicly and really state your case as to why you needed to do so. What took you so long?
I needed to measure out the public to find a time when they would be ready. And the risk of exposure and certain people out there that once held me captive, seeking me out again was always very high, but we didn't have internet as we do now, or the social media, or the networking throughout the world to be able to really reach out to people as a united collective through something so much as a telephone. We didn't have phones like this back in the 90s or the 80s, even the 70s. To be able to simply call into a radio station and be able to tell your story was something that was always very difficult to do many, many years ago.
So do you feel that the public is ready for your message then? Is that why you decided to come out on this show 4 months ago?
I feel that they are waking up more. They are becoming more enlightened, a lot of them looking for the truth. The unfortunate fact is that about 99% of the public is still completely asleep throughout the entire world. You know, I'm not speaking to them, although I do wish that they would wake up. I'm speaking to those that are ready now to hear that information, and enough people have waken up to draw my attention to give this message out to the people as much as will be heard.
So when you see someone like Samantha, who has Pleiadian contact as well, are there a lot of people like Samantha out there who have had true contact rather than people? Because the reason why I asked that, and I cut myself off of my own question there, I know, but the reason why I'm asking is because there's a lot of people who say they have ET contact, and it always seems to be, if it's not the Greys, it's the Reptilians. If it's not the Reptilians, it's always the Pleiadians. It's one of those three that everybody who has ET contact admits to. Samantha, I believe. And Audrey, you once, when you and I had a private conversation about the ET that Samantha and I saw, you picked up that it was, I believe, Andromedan.
Andromedan.
Right.
A specific species of Andromedan. They have an orange tinted skin, and they're rather tall with some larger heads, some of them.
So do you believe then, getting back to my question, do you believe then that there are many Pleiades type contacts here on Earth like Samantha, or do you think that she is more of a rare breed and other people just want the popularity of it?
I've heard many people that have said that they've had contact with my people, and I've heard their information, and most of it was incorrect. But when I listened to Samantha, a lot of key things stuck out to me. She spoke of our physiology. She's very correct that we do have hands on our feet, as I showed you. And James can attest to that, and several of our other key members in our group. Our physiology is slightly different. And I've never heard any other individual on this planet identify that. So listening to Samantha, several key things stuck out to me, and I began listening to her a little more. And I found that most of her information, if not all of it, is completely correct. She has nailed my people in a way that I have never heard anyone else on this planet speak about us. Billy Myers came very close. Some of his information was incorrect. However, there have been many contacts that get half-truths, and they spread some disinformation about us, some wild stories, a lot of other details that aren't entirely accurate. But they speak in some truth, but never the full truth. Listening to Samantha, I've heard nothing but truth so far. And I've been wanting to talk to her for some time. This is an honor, truly, Samantha, to have you aboard on this broadcast tonight.
It is such an honor to meet you, Audrey. It's nice to meet someone on a conscious level rather than an astral encounter. It's so nice. Thank you.
You are most welcome. It's truly an honor. So, I've waited a long time to talk on the radio, to talk to the people. I've weighed out the risks in reaching out, and I accept the risks at this point because time is getting very close for these people. A lot of things are coming to light now that have been going on for a very long time. Preparation's been made by the cabal to do some very heinous things to these people. And I want to bring to light a lot of those things as much as I can. You know, we've discussed a lot of events and things that in the past that they have been planning to do. I've watched as history has unfolded over the last 4 decades. many things that we've already known as a people were going to happen to the people of this planet. Unfortunately, there's not enough of us here to make a large difference, but I figure one voice can make a difference. And I'm doing everything I can to share the information as it is, as much as I can, to everyone that will listen.
Audrey, I'm going to get to some questions from our audience here, because they like to learn just as much as you. And some of them will be rather honest questions. Others will be more geared towards what your role is here. We'll start off with Joe in the SOR Space Travelers. He is asking, while you're here, do you have a regular job like the rest of us?
I work as a computer technician, an IT administrator, data forensics specialist, and a software engineer. I've done many different things with computer technology, and likewise, as with technology, so do I work with people. I believe that computers are not so different. They get viruses, they become corrupt, they slow down, they age, they die. The hardware always breaks down. And so too, likewise to the people, they also get viruses of the mind. They break down, they age, eventually they die. But turning PCs, let's say, into a Mac takes away the problem, because Windows is the issue with most computers. A lot of people out there I know love their Windows, but they will always get viruses no matter what antivirus programs that they acquire and install to their computers. They will always have issues with their computers, no matter what you do. They will be hacked, they will be damaged, they break down very easily. But when they are converted into Macs, they run flawlessly. They never attain viruses, they never slow down, the operating system never ages, and it doesn't break down. Save for some minor maintenance to the computer, it always survives. It lives for a very long time. I have some machines that I've converted into Macs from regular PCs and PC server systems that have been running now for years, nonstop, with no issues. Minor maintenance to their chassis fans every once in a while, and the ventilation systems. But the people are not unlike the computers I work with. I've taken what I do for a living with computers, and I've applied that to people, teaching them to heal themselves, teaching them to be able to defy age, to be able to heal sickness and disease without ever having to step foot into a doctor's office, without having to rely on pharmaceutical chemicals, poisons of the body, how to better their existence as much as I can. There's always been people out there that have doubted the human body's ability to heal itself. They don't know the power that they possess to be able to heal themselves, to be able to regenerate, and to heal others. There are so many things these people can do, they don't even know their potential. And I'm trying to give them the driver's manual for their own bodies, to teach them how they can use them and what they can do to better their lives and to extend their lifespan. Any other questions?
Paisley has a question in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. She is asking, Audrey, would you be able to visually or otherwise recognize others like yourself if you were to run into them?
I always do. If they were to show themselves here, yes, I would recognize them right away. We always carry specific frequencies. Every one of us is unique. We have a slightly different resonance, a vibratory resonance, that makes us as unique as a MAC address is to a computer. All of us have specific fingerprints in our vibratory frequency. Very subtle differences. So when I see one that I recognize, I know generally, based on my memory, exactly who they are. I've been around long enough to have seen many of my people go missing travel to this place and disappear. So it's not uncommon for me to find them here, and they are blinded. They don't remember their past because of the way that people are wiped here after they die. When they come back, they have no recollection of their past. So I've helped a lot of people remember who they were in the past, at least remember where they came from. Not every single individual have I encountered face-to-face, but where we come from, we're all connected. And there's a collective memory that I retain from where we came from. Every individual there, we share our memories, our thoughts, emotions. We share many different aspects of who we are as a collective conscious. All together, we are still unique, but we have a collective memory all together that we all share. We share our experiences. We share memories of where we've gone. If one individual travels to another system and comes back, we all have seen that system.
Question from Gail in the SOR Space Travelers Club. She is asking, what is your... We just lost Audrey, I believe. James, are you there? Samantha, are you there?
I'm still there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll wait for Audrey to call back in. He said he just messaged me. He says his phone died. He'll be back in one quick second here. So we'll have to just be patient. Samantha, when you hear Audrey speak in regards to this and what he's been through and what his message is, does a lot of that resonate with you from what you have been told and what you have learned?
Yeah, it does. It makes me feel homesick.
In what way?
Sorry. I don't want to be here, Dave. I want to go home. I didn't agree to come here. You know that.
Well, I know that, but a lot of our audience does not, and they may not understand because, let's face it, there's not a lot of people, Samantha, like you out there.
Yeah, but fair enough. Okay, guys, well, I have a very strong memory of being out in space on a craft that was outside of Earth, and we were just checking something. We weren't even supposed to come down here. We were just near Earth. And I remember us getting hit, and I remember the craft going down, and I can remember it literally crashing into somewhere in South America. It felt like it was either South or Central. That's all I could remember about the geography as we're going down, and we hit so hard we landed into a cave filled with reptiles where there were people in there. I can remember seeing the air being all hazy, like it was thick and not smoky, that's not the right word, but you know when it's a very dense fog, and when you move, how you can see the pattern of the fog moving away in the direction someone went. I can remember seeing indigenous people in a haze-like trance. And above them, I could see, because one of our people pointed up the ceiling, that there were these green alligator-type tails swaying like a cat tail, like a happy, satisfied cat about to go chase after a mouse or a bird. And the thing I don't like about this is there were 6 of us, and we had to get across this cave even just to get out, not even thinking we were going to survive, just thinking if we have any chance at all, that's the way we have to go. And then I remember seeing the guy behind me, having his feet pulled out from him, and seeing him being pulled off to the distance and knowing he was going to die. When you have past life memories like that, of knowing how you got here, you're not going to want to be here. You're going to want to do everything in your power to go home. That is why I know I'm not from here and why I can remember where I'm from, because I have a lot of memories like that coming forward. Do we have Audrey yet?
Audrey is just trying to get his phone back working. It died, so I'm trying to get him to Skype in without video now, and we'll get that one going.
I feel for you. I feel for you big time.
Thanks, James. It's probably my least favorite memory out of every memory that I have, is knowing that the people I were with were picked off one by one. and it's not a good feeling.
Wow.
But that's okay.
No, I agree. It's not a good feeling. I know. That's the hardest thing I deal with, too, knowing the horrors that are out here and trying to cope with stuff like that.
One by one.
Okay, we got Samantha, we got Audrey back on the line here.
Hi there. I apologize for that. My phone did die on me as I was talking.
That's okay. It works.
All good.
We got you back. That's the main thing. The question I was going to ask you, Audrey, right before we got cut off, and I prefer to say it was a conspiracy that your phone died at that moment because I think that's more fun for this show, even though it's not. Gail was asking, what do you define as your specific message that you were trying to get across here?
To ascend. To meditate on a star growing at your center, heal yourself, and learn to ascend. That'll get you out of this place.
Where are we supposed to ascend to?
You go to the fourth. When you ascend with your body, not without. You become photoradionic energy, every quark in your body highly irradiated with energy, just like the photons coming out of a light bulb. And you go to the fourth.
Is that our whole goal, is to try and get to the fourth dimension?
It's the easiest way for you all to have some peace. Unless you stand up for yourselves.
That seems like so simple, but it seems very hard to do.
It's simpler than you think. You have to let go of all pain, anguish, anger, sadness, jealousy, ego. Learn to start forgiving people, even if you don't think they deserve it. You don't have to tell them that you forgave them. Do it for yourself. You can't sail a boat with your anchor down, nor can you fly a hot air balloon with your weights attached. Ascension is not difficult. You could accomplish ascension within about 3 years, if you tried.
I'm going to get to another question here. This one comes from Buddha in the Revolution Radio chat room. And he is asking, why do most extraterrestrials think it's okay for them to tell world governments about them, but for most, they don't tell anything to the average man?
Fear of persecution, fear of rejection. There are many different reasons why they wouldn't do it. I'm doing what they won't do because of fear. I'm doing this because everyone needs to know. You all deserve to know that we're here to help. And I'm doing everything I can as one being to help.
Okay, we're getting a little bit of feedback on your end there, Audrey.
Let me turn my volume down, if I may.
Okay. There, that's better.
Okay.
All right. Let's get to another question here. This one comes from Gail, who says, Audrey, in a previous show you mentioned that you had kind of hands where your feet should be. And
how
she
do
is
I
at
wear shoes?
Yeah, how do you find shoes? And I think that's an honest question.
It's not hard for me to squeeze my feet into shoes. It's uncomfortable, but I've gotten used to it after 4 decades.
Are there certain shoes you can't wear?
Shoes that are too tight, yes. I wear shoes that are a little bit wider on the outsides. Makes it easy for me to fit my feet into the shoes without squeezing my bones.
And Gail has another question for you. She is asking, why can't your Pleiadian family just come up and pick you up and take you home?
This seems to be a common question that's asked. It's not the first time I've been asked this question in the last 2 weeks. Same question was asked on Wolf Spirit Radio. There are certain treaties in place that prevent them from coming here without waging war. If one single ship of ours comes to this planet, there's a major risk of being shot down, killed, or held prisoner within a cell, just as I was. If you survive, and then you would be experimented on. The risks are too high. So they don't come here because of certain treaties that we have in place, that you have in place too. We don't interfere with a planet that is not willing to accept our help. And yes, all of the people here want our help, but the cabal, the ruling elite, do not. They do not want us involved at all. I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. I'm just going to answer Tanya's question in the SOR Space Traveler. She's asking, what does Audrey look like? He looks like a human, except he's really old, but he looks like a young kid. Like he looks like a teenager or early 20s. It's ridiculous how good he looks, to be honest. And you got great hair too. I'm not going to lie. You got great hair. I mean, it's not the people's mullet with James Borg, but it's great hair.
He's got great hair.
You know, I was going to turn on my camera, but I realized that Samantha's on a telephone.
Yes.
Dave can take a screenshot and send it to me.
We'll hook up after the show. We can all hook up from the show. Joe has a question at the SOR Space Travelers, and he is asking, Audrey, do you have Earth family? Wife, kids, dog?
I had a wife. I'm divorced now after 2 years. I do have children. I have 4 children. I have a 20-year-old. I have a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 5-year-old. I have 3 boys and 1 daughter.
If they were to come pick you up, because they would be half Pleiadian, would they know where you come from? Would they have any connection to your homeland?
They don't have a memory because of how people are wiped here, but I would want to take them with me, except that I believe, at least in part, that some genetic purity is needed here on this planet, and I feel that if my children decided they wanted to stay, I wouldn't force them to go with me. And that could help revitalize your genetics here on this planet.
Samantha, I know you've wanted to ask Audrey a few questions. If you have one made up, I got some time for you right now.
No, I had a whole bunch in my mind. It's just completely blank right now, Dave. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. It does happen when if you have one.
I take that back. I take that back. Audrey, perhaps you can explain this to me. In the last 8 months, I've had a phenomenal amount of reptilian encounters, and they have pushed aside all of the benevolent beings that I typically have interactions with. I've tried changing my energetic protection techniques on my physical body, house, energetic techniques, and I can't seem to shake them. Do you have any suggestions of ways I can get rid of them? Because I've seen 5 different types of reptilians literally in the last 9 months.
The one thing you haven't done is meditate on a star growing at your center and make what is called a Merkaba field, which would help greatly if you did. You focus on a Merkaba field around you as you meditate on a star growing at your center, and it raises your shield and allows for you to contact other beings without interference. The reason why they are pressing so hard on you is... Hold on, we're getting some interference.
You can turn down your feedback. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, let me decrease my sensitivity. I think that's a problem. I have multiple duckers on this computer, and the monitor has the monitor volume for my microphone has to be turned up usually to get a mic volume for you to hear me on this computer. Okay, as I was saying, the reason why they're pressing you so hard, Samantha, is because you vibrate much higher and you stand out among the crowd.
Hello?
So they are attracted to you more because of that. Go ahead. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Partially. I can hear you partially, about every third word.
Same with me. Yeah, partially. Maybe you can repeat that, Audrey.
I said that the reason why they're pressing you so hard, Samantha, is because you vibrate much higher in frequency, and as a result, you stand out among the crowd. It makes it easy for them to pinpoint you among a crowd of people.
Okay.
So you need to meditate on a star growing at your center. Focus on raising a Merkaba field. You should know what that is.
I do.
This will help, and this will decrease the amount of interference that you have. It will, if not, stop it altogether. They should not be able to interfere with your ability to communicate.
Perfect. I will do that then. That would make my life immensely easier. Thank you.
Absolutely. You are most welcome.
I have a question from Kristen, and it comes from Feditor in the Wolf Spirit Radio chat room, because they're all hanging out listening to you. You got some fans over there, Audrey. And they're asking, how do you maintain a third dimension form being in a fourth dimension, being a fourth dimension being in your planet?
I meditate, as I said, on a star growing at my center. It maintains my vitality, my frequency. When you come here from a higher level, it's very heavy here, so it tries to pull your frequency down to level out. The universe is always balancing frequency around it to make an even field of frequency. However, we meditate on a star growing at our center to create the same intention of increasing our vibratory state as a star does in its physical existence. We are all made of the same thing. This is, every single thing in this universe is made of photoradionic energy. Photoradionic waves within quarks. No matter how dense or how vast these quarks are from each other, they are all made of the same thing. So, focusing on a star growing at your center increases your vibratory state. As a result, it helps us maintain in a lower frequency range, helps us maintain our vessels without us perishing, without us aging, without us dying. I hope that answers your question.
Audrey, I got a question from Zippy in the Revolution Radio chat room. How old are you?
I answered that question before on Spaced Out Radio, one of our earlier broadcasts, but I can repeat it again. Because of our concept of time, on Lyra, time is a completely different thing. We don't measure time in seconds and minutes, in hours and days or months or years. However, because the planet itself takes about 4 times longer than Earth does to orbit its star, I'm approximately 1,494 years old. But I don't have an exact age.
I appreciate you filling us in on that. Shar is asking in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, are you 100% Pleiadian or are you part human?
That's like asking if a dog is 100% wolf or part wolf.
Yes.
We are all human. All of us are just as human as you are. We are not so different physiologically. We're very similar in many, many ways. The only difference is that we didn't have genetic manipulation. We didn't have de-evolution. We've been around for a long time in an untampered environment with no cabal to control us. So we've maintained our physiology, but we are very, very similar because a whole lot of you came from our system. Not all of you, but a lot of you originated in our system.
Claudia would like to know in the SOR Space Travelers Club, the ships that come into our atmosphere, can they cloak themselves to protect themselves so they're not seen by human radar?
About 10 years ago, that would have been possible easily. Nowadays, they have the technology to try to detect cloaked vehicles, sometimes with at least 60% accuracy. They have been ramping up their technologies here to be able to detect vehicles so that they will not be able to sneak into this planet so easily anymore. So it makes it much more difficult for us to come and help. Back in the old days, yes, we could slip through, but there was still a small chance that they could detect on radar as we enter the atmosphere the heat signature. Still made it difficult for us to hide regardless of cloaking technology. It's merely just a phasing technology. I hope that answers your question.
Cygnus has a question in the Wolf Spirit Radio chat room because we brought them in now. They have all tuned in to what you were saying here. I swear, they're all waving Audrey flags in the Wolf Spirit area here, which is kind of funny. He is asking, what information did they learn from the experiments they did on you? I'm assuming he means the humans when you were at Area 51.
Richard Ben Kramer took that file with him. Whatever research I imagine that they had on me, he had taken that information with him. Because when we were leaving, after we entered the elevators and we went up, I saw the folder flip open enough when I saw my picture in there, and a few others, and a lot of paperwork. So he took our file when he left too. As much as I believe that he took all of the research, they may have kept something, but not enough to, let's say, replicate me. They did try to take DNA samples, but reading Richard Ben Kramer, he had disposed of them using what they call, there's a name for a specific substance that normally you would find in urine. Starts with an A. I can't recall the name of that off the top of my head. Anyway, there's a certain liquid that they use to destroy biological material. He used some of that on that material, which made it unviable. So as far as I know, any genetic material they had was destroyed. The paperwork he had, I know, was my file and Ariane Haas's file, based on what I saw when it flipped open just briefly in the elevator. I hope that answers your question.
For sure. I'm going to get you... we're getting a little bit more feedback here on you. Max Steele is in the chat room in Spaced Out Radio Land. He is asking, who has your ship?
Currently, the one that I was dropped off in, that one is with Ariane Haas. As far as I know. Max did mention, though, they found a ship with a damaged hull, similar pattern, and I'm hoping that that was not her. I don't believe it was, because she survived. And hello, Max.
Shar in the Spaced Out Radio chat room is asking, does our government have cloaking ability?
Yes, they do. They found a way to mimic some of the cloaking capabilities of our metamaterials that we use on our vehicles. And they've been using it on certain vehicles, more specifically that they call TR3Bs. They're triangular-shaped vehicles with 3 outer lights at each corner and 1 center light in the middle.
Sorry, can you please talk to me about that a little bit? Because I've seen that quite a bit when I've had encounters where they've just, I don't know, just some really weird encounters. Like this one time when I encountered these beings that were projecting themselves as cone heads, and I wasn't sure if they were actually cone heads, but they had a black craft that was triangular in shape, that had corner lights at the corners and one in the middle.
There is
so I'm sorry, but I must ask you.
Yes, there is a type of Anunnaki vehicle that is the same TR3B style vehicle, but the ones that I'm referring to are actually, they managed to copy that style of vehicle. They have a graviton engine. They run strictly on diamagnetic graviton energy, which presses against the Earth's gravity and pushes the vehicle up into the air. So they move very quietly, these vehicles, and they can move quite fast, but they don't have photoradionic drive. So they rely strictly on diamagnetism in order to propel themselves by bouncing off of the Earth's gravity. They also use the same type of propulsion to leverage the Earth's gravity or any other celestial body in the universe that has a high gravitational source to give themselves a boost to travel through space. Again, they don't travel at, let's say, light speed. They never reach those speeds, but they're fast enough to travel, short distances through the solar system, or to travel at higher speeds to other systems. But let's say they want to go to the Pleiades in a vehicle like that, they will not travel fast enough to get there in, let's say, 7 hours and 24 minutes to 7 hours and 30 minutes. It's impossible with the TR3B to get there that quick. So it would take them years to get there still in the TR3B. So their technology is still not superior to ours. We use a photoradionic drive in our vehicles, but the TR3B is still highly primitive in its technology. The graviton engine was, I got a message from Max. He says he loves me. Anyway, as I was saying, not to divert from the topic, the graviton engine actually originated from Zeta Reticuli. They brought that technology here, and the Anunnaki adopted that many, many cycles ago into their technology. The more recent technology developed by, Area 51 and several other facilities like Dolce, they used the same graviton engine design that was modified to work with an Anunnaki vehicle to create the TR3B. So these vehicles are not superior, but we can still outfly those vehicles. They do have cloaking technology. The lights on the bottoms of their vehicles make it easier for them to see through their hatch bay windows. So I'm getting feedback again. Give me one minute,
Yes,
please.
no problem.
Let me fix this.
Audrey, while you're fixing that, I was wondering if you can explain to the people here on Earth, right, us human beings, where
Yes.
the Anunnaki originated from. How did they start? A lot of the knowledge human beings have about Anunnaki is by Sitchin. So maybe you can elaborate on the race of Anunnaki. Where did they start?
Anunnaki are relatives of what you call Alpha Draconians. They have reptilian bloodlines, but they are crossed between three things. They're a mix of Alpha Draconian, Nephilim, and angelic human Christos DNA. And they were designed initially by one member of your cabal that goes by the name Anu. They designed the Anunnaki, he and his people. And the Anunnaki have existed ever since. There have been several Anunnaki that were very well known. You know certain names that I've mentioned to you, James, Enki and Leo. Those two are Anunnaki, as well as you have their sons, which are... I'm sorry, this interference is getting very loud.
Yeah, that is...
I don't know where this is coming from. This is not... It is on my end, but my volume duckers should be adjusted to avoid...
Are you on a microphone or just your computer microphone?
It's my computer microphone. It's listening in on its own speaker.
Yes.
Loop of audio. Okay, that should be better. Can you still hear me, Dave?
You sound beautiful. You sound beautiful.
Okay, I just don't want this mic to be oversensitive. And the monitor volume is up too high. It creates a sensitivity loop between the microphone and the speaker. As I was saying, you have Enki and Leo. Those two were designed by Anu, and they were the first two Anunnaki. They had their own children. You have Marduk, who was the son of Enki. You have Nannar, who was the son of Enlil. And they created more Anunnaki, who reside not entirely all here on this planet, but there are major populations of Anunnaki that you find living underground because their skin is very pale. They burn easily in the sun. Also known as the tall whites. I hope that answers your question.
For sure. I want to remind... sorry, James. I just want to hop in here for a second because I have got a lot of questions planned out here for Audrey from our listeners. Do me a favor. I want to try and get in all of your questions in the time that we have left in the show. I'm going to probably end up passing over them if you're not typing them in capital letters, because when they are in lowercase, I have troubles reading them. If they're in full capital letters, I know it'll be a question specific for Audrey, James, or Samantha. So if you want your question read, please do me the favor, and I will try and get to all of them as quickly as I can. And I just wanted to get that out. Thank you, James.
No problem. So the Anunnaki, my last question for you, just to explain them. The Anunnaki was started on Earth, Audrey?
Initially, yes.
Okay.
They were a mix that they created of a few races here, trying to create a superior race that could live above ground. that could tolerate UV radiation and still look human enough to blend in with the human populations to control them. There were many Anunnaki that you find back in the history, the days of Egypt, Amun-Ra, Tutankhamun, just to name a couple. These were Anunnaki that ruled the people. They have elongated heads, some of them. These Anunnaki have existed now for quite a very long time. And their vehicles are triangular in shape. Some of them are actual pyramid shapes.
Yeah, I've seen those ones.
Yes, you have. So they have a couple types of vehicles. They have one that's more linear. They have another that's more 3D.
Gentlemen, we got time for one more question here before we're going to go to break, and we got about 90 seconds till we go to break. Gail is asking, when you were captured and at Area 51, were you let go or did you escape?
We were, technically it's a bit of both. I would like to believe that the man that was running Area 51, according to our friend Max, had let us go. Richard Ben Kramer opened the cells, but there was no interference. There were no guards that came in to seize us. The elevators were not shut down. We made it to the top without any interference. We made it to Bay 3, where our vehicle was being held. The chains were undone already. The vehicle was able to openly fly. It seemed like everything was prepared for us to leave. So, and the file was in Richard Ben Kramer's arm, his left arm. So, I don't find it a coincidence that we made it out of there. We were both let free and escaped. That's about all I know about that.
Excellent. I appreciate that. We got about 20 seconds here before we're going to go to our final break of the night. We're going to have James, Samantha, and Audrey join us in hour number 3. We're going to try and get in all of your questions as well. And I want to thank everyone for surprising me at Wolf Spirit Radio for tuning in tonight. That's really cool. Revolution Radio, you got a packed house there as well. It's a pleasure seeing you there, as well as everyone on the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. And, of course, the loyalist SOR Space Travelers. Good to have you along for the ride as well. We'll be back right after this break.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with UFOria. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
This is your medium, Joanna, from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 mediums and a large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
Have you checked out the SOR Spacewire at spacedoutradio.com yet? Every day we post the latest stories regarding the weird, strange, and completely unbelievable. From cryptid and UFO sightings to the conspiracy world, we tackle it all. Hi there, I'm Eric Markham, Spaced Out Radio's news director for the SOR Spacewire. And if you have a story, I want to hear it. Email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy, from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to connect with us on Spaced Out Radio? Head to spacedoutradio.com to check out the latest shows, guests, and sponsors. And don't forget to sign up for the Space Travelers Club. You'll find all you need at spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Good to have you with us. Can you believe August is over already? August 31st, September 1st now. Amazing. Just amazing. Wow, that went quick. 8 months gone in this year already. We've started month number 9. Tomorrow night on the show, we kick off September talking Bigfoot. Bono Russell will join us from Bono's Bigfoot Tavern. We're going to talk everything about the big hairy beast. So that'll be tomorrow night on the mighty SOR, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. While there, you can join the SOR Space Travelers Club. It's $5 a month. With that, you get your name automatically put into monthly prize draws. You get access to a special posting section on our website, and so much more. You can read up on the SOR Spacewire. Our resident news director, Eric Markham, will be with us, giving the news on a daily basis. Check out our latest blog section. We write weekly on there. My latest blog is How Spaced Out Radio Helped Me Overcome My Bouts of Depression and Anxiety. I hope you enjoy that. You can comment on that as well. And if you're a fan of our music, all of our music is done by former Guns N' Roses lead guitarist Ron Bumblefoot THAL. Bumblefoot is the official guitar god of SOR. Bill Cardwell has set the SOR Space Travelers password for tonight. Divulgation is the password. If you're a space traveler, use it wisely. Divulgation is your password. Thank you, Bill, for setting that up. Audrey's going to take about a 5 to 10 minute break here. He's feeling a little under the weather tonight. We are going to get to many of your questions, so we bring James Borg from UFOria Chronicles back in and Samantha Mowat from the ET Experience, which happens here the second Tuesday of every month. Welcome back.
Hello.
James,
first off, I'd like to say a couple of words here, Dave, if it's okay. Samantha, I've heard you on the radio many times. You do a fantastic show. You're very illuminated, and I really appreciate that when I'm listening to your show. And I'd also like to mention a big hello to all the members in the SOR chat room. A lot of times I don't get the opportunity to stay up as long as I can because I'm on the East Coast there. And I'd like to send a special shout-out to my friend Charlie and the special select group we have that follows Audrey around. So thank you very much, everybody.
Not a problem.
Thank you, James. That's wonderful.
Samantha, when you have heard Audrey on this show before, and you have a special connection to the Pleiades as well, you feel that is your star system that you are from, although you consider yourself to be more hybrid than a human mixture than pure Pleiadian, much like Audrey is. When you hear,
I remember other lives, Dave. We don't just incarnate in one star system, at least not in my experience. But sorry, please continue.
So when you hear him speak, is it like hearing old hat news, you know, from things that maybe trigger past memories?
It's like hearing someone speak out something that you haven't thought about in many, many years and that you forgot you had known. It's like speaking to an old friend or an old family member. It's wonderful.
James, why don't we ask you a question, because you're the one who introduced Audrey to the Spaced Out Radio listeners. How did you get to know Audrey, and what made you believe that he is the truth, that he is not from here?
Well, before I met Audrey, I seen a film on him, and that was even before Euphoria Chronicles on Facebook started. So that was kind of like a forewarning that I didn't even know about. I seen this film on him, and then our former co-founder told me about a person, and I followed my intuition on that, and I started making contact with Audrey. And it just transpired from there. It was like it was meant to be. And Audrey's told me that they've been following me all along, that I too am Lyran. I had a long experience here on Earth, starting with Atlantis. I was not one of the people that actually made it out. So I actually died on Atlantis. I was a librarian on Atlantis, a librarian keeping knowledge. And I had, how I died was a result of a sound cannon. And they tried to use the same thing on the Mayans, the Maya people. And the Maya, like the Atlanteans, many of them, were extracted out of Earth onto another planet. So when they say about the Mayan civilization, well, where did they all go? Well, I just told you some history that you don't know about. They're all alive and well, and they're not on Earth. They're on another planet somewhere. And, yeah. Are you there?
Yes. So when you finally got to meet Audrey and you had conversations with him and you started to get your own personal questions answered, what fully convinced you, James, that Audrey was the real deal?
Well, for the first few encounters, I, before I wanted to talk to him, I had like a million questions, but as Samantha's going through too, when she first initially was talking to him, all my questions sort of disappeared because I was enamored by Audrey. Just listening to him speak, just listening to him to give the full account of Earth, the actual true story, was mouth dropping, right? So I'd let him talk, and he'd just talk for hours on end. He was just teaching me. I was a pupil, and he was the teacher, and that's how it went for the longest time. The odd time, yeah, I'd throw in questions, but it took about a good 16 hours before I started really rattling off questions, and I just took it all in. It was just like a download. It was like he was my download, and he would be downloading, and it was awesome. I couldn't ask for anything more spectacular than that. True knowledge is amazing, especially benevolent knowledge like that. The real story, the real deal. And like I said, my mouth was ajar all the time. It was like, wow, 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 wow. Actually, that's my favorite word on Earth. It's wow, because there's so many things I can say wow at. And it's just a resonance that he gives off. Like when you talk to him, you could have a bad day for whatever reason, and all of a sudden you talk to him, and it's like, oh, wow. It's like you're in heaven again, right? It's a good feeling. It's a good resonance. Just being in his presence, right? It raises your vibration, right? And it's I'm honored and I'm glad, and I thank the universe for this. It's awesome. I think I went more than 50% of the way, and they heard me, right? And they're hearing all of you now on Earth, which is fantastic. The more of us that wake up on Earth, the better it's going to be, right? So it's going to be a good thing happening, big time.
Samantha, do you feel that, as Audrey had stated, his job is here to start to enlighten and open up people in preparation for what is out there, which is the fourth dimension? Do you feel people here are ready to open up, or do you think people here are still, maybe, including myself, a little too naive in the experiences that are truly out there?
I think we're still very naive in many ways, but I believe we've made tremendous progress in 100 years. If you think about it, 100 years ago, if you talked about most of these topics, you would have been put in an insane asylum, let alone getting together and discussing them weekly, daily, bi-monthly even. So in my opinion, we have made a lot of progress, and we're going to continue to make progress. So I'm actually quite happy about that.
Do you feel comfortable at this point having this conversation with absolutely anybody and everybody who is willing to listen? Or do you still feel that there is certain things you need to hold back on because people just won't understand?
I will test the waters with people when I first talk to them. Like, Dave, I'm not going to go to a packed meeting and be like, hi, look, my name's Samantha Mowat. My job is to talk to people and teach them about extraterrestrials and multidimensionals. Let's have a play date. It's probably not going to go over well, but I could tell them I work as a psychic, and I can tell them, hey, look, guides aren't necessarily what you think they are, and channeling, you're not necessarily just channeling with angels, and get them comfortable like that if I can sense that their energy is more restricted. But if I feel like someone says, hey, I had a weird experience one time, then I can be more open about it. And gradually, as they get to know me and become to sense the validity in what I've talked about when it comes to other things, bring forward other information that I may not necessarily have been comfortable with before, but bring it about in a way in which their vibration, their energy, their thought patterns are okay with. And kind of put that little, well, I hate to use this analogy, but splinter into them to get them thinking about it and focusing on it.
Right on.
James, when you hear Samantha say what she is saying, that, that you do have to edit yourself, you do have to watch the crowd you're in, because not everybody is open to it. How do you find yourself, because you're so immersed in this as well with UFOria Chronicles, how do you find yourself when you go to your son's hockey game, or you're out shopping, or maybe you're out for a beer and you hear people talking about ghost stories or alien stories or whatever? How do you control yourself from speaking out or saying the wrong thing?
Good question. In the 80s, when I was doing all the stuff I was doing in the 80s and learning all the stuff and seeing all the experiences, in the 1980s, if you were to mention you had ghost experiences, you would get locked up in a mental asylum, okay? So that's only 30 years ago, right? So time has progressed so much. The hardest thing I have now is when I talk about Audrey, very few people actually listen or believe me, right? So I could talk to many people that are in the disclosure movement. I'd say, buddy, here I am. Come talk to me. Let's talk. And it's like so overwhelming for them. It's they don't want to. They think of me, and they think he's some quack or she belongs in a nut house. They just don't think I'm credible enough. And this is my dilemma here, right? Trying to spread the word there. It's like she said, Samantha Mowat, you can't really teach a course on it because not too many people are going to believe. This is my biggest thing. And the way Samantha said it, she'd just say, well, I'm a psychic. Yes, that's the best way to go, right? But I don't consider myself a psychic per se. I've got little traces of intuition.
Yeah.
Intuition, yeah, I go with intuition. I wouldn't say that I'm a full-blown psychic as far as, yes, I can tell you what you had for breakfast today. I probably couldn't do that, but I can get inklings of stuff.
Yeah, but James, the way in which you perceive psychic is so much different than what being a psychic is. The way that most of society deems psychics, they deem them as being able to read absolutely every thought in your mind at every moment, and that's not the way it works. It typically is bringing forward information that is pertinent either to your development or your history or your future. And have you asked your guides to bring you people that could benefit from hearing about Audrey's story or your story, and to keep the other ones away?
No, per se, no, I haven't. But maybe I should.
Well, if you're comfortable, give it a shot. I ask my guides every time I move to Newtown, hey, bring me other contactees or experiencers or psychic people. And I always find them. It makes life fun.
Cool. I do attract people, but I don't. That's great advice. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. Great advice.
Thank you.
No problem.
You're welcome.
No problem. That's what we're here for. It's a big love-in of alien talk on Spaced Out Radio tonight.
Well, it's a whole plethora of all the paranormal. That's why I tune in all the time. All the research that I do, I could feel for you, Dave, doing 17 hours a day. I've done that as well. And just to tune on your radio show, it gives me a breath of fresh air because I can hear other people like Butch Witkowski. I can hear Rob Murphy. I can hear Elizabeth Anglin. I could hear about all the other people that call in and all the other guests you have. that are talking about Bigfoot, that are talking about everything paranormal. It's a cornucopia of arcane, occult, paranormal knowledge. It's fantastic. Makes me feel at home, right? I'm not the nut job that everybody thinks to perceive me as, which is it's good. It's a good thing, right? For me, for people like us.
Well, it is a different genre that we are in. You know, it's something that we need to try and open up out there, because there's a lot of people who will listen to this show, and I know when this show gets on our YouTube channel, the YouTube trolls will nail it as hard as they possibly can, you know, and you just sit there and you grind your teeth, you take it with a grain of salt, and if the comments are too rude, you just erase them. That's at least what I do. But in the end, you have to be able, if you're going to be delving into these topics, I think the biggest misconception that is out there in these fields is when people have their own opinions and they are stuck to those opinions, there is no changing them. So if I were to come up to you and say, all Pleiadians are bad, all aliens are bad, or all Bigfoot are monsters, or something along those lines, without any definitive proof, you would say, well, where are you getting that from? Where are you getting that idea? Why are you thinking like that? And what we're trying to do is we're trying to sit here and say, open your minds, because we're dealing with the plausible situations of these topics. We don't know the answers. We don't know right from wrong. We're right in the middle. Like I've read tonight the word purgatory a couple of times. Okay? We are in paranormal purgatory because, as you've heard me say on this show a number of times, when you open a door and you walk through that door, there's 10 more doors standing in front of you. And when you walk through each of those individual 10 doors, behind those individual 10 doors, there's another 10 doors behind each door. And it keeps going and going and going. And if any of us truly have the answer, it's impossible to figure out, because ego gets involved, your own personal thoughts get involved, and it's hard to try and maintain that balance, James, when you have so many different answers or so many different theories hitting you, much like being in a Mike Tyson fight and taking each punch left, right, and center.
That's right. Yep. And that's sometimes that's the hard thing that I have to deal with all the time, is controlling all that. Sometimes I get a little antsy about it. Like, I mean, I'll admit I'm trying to learn everything that Audrey's saying and everything else, but sometimes you lose it, right? Somebody said something, and you go, "Pardon?" Right? What did you say? Right? Now your mood isn't so happy. Now you're confronting it, and being the ex-hockey player that I am, Dave, you know how that might go down, right? So I kind of stand up for people like us. And maybe I should be more forgiving, and I'm trying to do that, but it's kind of hard sometimes. So a lot of times what I'm saying is I do put people in their place. I'm very vocal with these topics outside, right? And but I got to calm down a bit more and be more forgiving.
Well, that's what the people's mullet is for. And if you haven't seen James Borg's hair, it is a fantastic mullet. I ask him about it every day. I'm so impressed with it. And I'm not going to lie, I am a little jealous, James. I am.
Well, thank you very much. And because of people like you, I don't think I'll cut the mullet off. I made a promise. No, I'm not going to cut it off until I reach a certain destination. And even then, I might not cut it off.
No, you keep that going. You keep that going. That mullet is way too important here in order to make things happen.
That's right. It's like the Stanley Cup playoff. It's like the playoff spirit. It's now it's my playoff mullet, right? Until I grab that cup, I'm not going to here.
You got the people's mullet happening. I'm not going to lie. Samantha, go ahead.
Sorry, James, doesn't hair hold memory? So wouldn't you want to hold on to your long hair? And doesn't the ancient traditions all around the world, be it natives and everything else, believe that cutting your hair destroys your intuition?
That's what they say, especially in native cultures, yes. Both American and
So I wonder if there's truth to that.
Hey, I think we got Audrey back.
Hello.
There you are. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. I've been listening to your conversation. Go ahead, please.
All right. I got a bunch of questions. Are you ready? Have you stretched out, Audrey?
Yes, I have.
Excellent. Let's get to some. I'm literally about half an hour behind in commercials questions here. Claudia wants to know, in the SOR Space Travelers Club, how do off-worlders pick and choose who they want to communicate with or abduct or download to?
Well, that's a very open-ended question. It really depends on the race you're referring to. Zetas pick people based on their genetic markers, their lines and levels of purity in their DNA. A lot of what they do may seem at random, but they're following certain genetic lines to try to reconstitute their own. For us, it has to do with who is more open and who isn't, who is ready to hear answers and whose frequencies are higher and easier for us to reach, versus those that are not. There are many other races out there, Arcturian, Andromedan, that also work on the same wavelength. They look for those that are resonating high enough in frequency and are awake enough to reach or receive those answers and understand them. You know, there are certain people out there that may try to communicate and don't get an answer at all, and that may be just because of their frequency. They have to raise their vibratory state to reach those of us that are much higher.
All right,
so
next.
Possible. Go ahead.
Next question comes from Robert. Do you have religion, or is there a transcendence beyond that?
We believe in our Creator, yes. We don't have religions per se. We don't serve false gods or idols or any that they do here. We don't serve Anunnaki like Amun-Ra. You know, we don't believe in these things. We believe in our Creator because we know where we came from. That is who we praise. Our Creator, we refer to Him as Om. He created all of us. I hope that answers your question.
Michael has a question here asking, does Audrey have emotions, or is he more like Mr. Spock on Star Trek?
Yes, I have emotion like all of you. I do on occasion feel sadness. I feel happy. I love humor. I've come to love your humor here very much. I find it to be it excites vibration in a way that love and happiness do. Yes, I do feel sadness sometimes. I feel every once in a while, let's say I don't get to see my kids for a long period of time, I feel sadness over that. I feel sadness over some of the things that I've had to go through every once in a while, but I stray away from feeling those emotions, not to suppress them, not to be gray in emotion. I do it because it draws down my vibratory state, it weakens me. Even to feel anger will set me back 3 days of meditation. So I stay away from being angry or being sad as much as I can. I remain happy. I remain full of love always.
Moving on here, Claudia is asking, what is the protocol for different extraterrestrials to meet each other?
if they want to meet us, we're always open to have a meeting with them. If they want to establish relations with us, they have to go through the council. But they, we're always open to partner, I'd say, with other beings out there, other races. It has to also do with their level of evolution, where they are in their current state of evolution, how much they know, how much they understand, and how much they are ready for. I explained in one of my last broadcasts on Wolf Spirit Radio how we have to choose what we share with certain races on different planets, and that has to do with their level of evolution. For instance, you take, for instance, a simple equation on what that can do to a civilization, like E equals mc squared. What did that do to this world? You have nuclear bombs facing each other in different countries, United States, Russia, Cuba, Iran, North Korea building theirs, to keep everyone in check, to maintain a system of control, and unfortunately that creates a system of fear. No world should live like that.
Go ahead, please.
Well, as I was saying, all worlds should live in peace. We always choose what technologies we share, and we weigh out the implications of sharing that technology with a specific civilization based on their level of evolution and their level of intent. You could hand, let's say, an atomic bomb and say to a civilization that this can be used to create free energy, and they can still use it as a weapon.
Corrine De Winter from PurplePlates.com is asking if she can have a date with you.
It's cute.
Well, perhaps we can set up some communications. Go to Wolf Spirit Radio chat room. I'm usually there talking in the chat room. You can talk to me there in private message, and we can have a discussion.
There you go. Claudia is asking, Audrey, can you communicate telepathically? For instance, if she were to try and communicate with you, could you hear her and answer her back?
Generally speaking, yes. It really depends on that individual's ability to receive transmissions and to transmit properly. I do hear people a lot when I am focusing. I can hear thoughts, I can hear feelings, read memories, emotions. But I try not to do that so much here. It's very painful to read people here because they carry so much weight internally. Talking to people, I do on occasion do that, but they have to have an understanding of intention. The way we communicate as a people, we communicate using a package of emotion, memories, intentions, without using language. We don't use English per se when we talk. We don't use a language that you're used to. It's a whole different level of communication where we come from. So yes, I could, in fact, send a transmission or receive one from any individual on this planet if they're capable.
I got a pair of questions from Joe, and Joe is asking question 1. Audrey, are you worried that the government will scoop you up again?
That's always a fear, Joe. I try to maintain a level of anonymity for many reasons here. Because, yes, fear of being scooped up and put back into a cell, strapped to a table and cut open again, that's always on my mind. I would rather not go through that again. However, the risks outweigh the need, or I should say underweigh the need, to share information with everyone as much as I can.
And his second question is, being that you, Audrey, and your people are physiologically compatible with humans, do you know if there is a cure for cancer or other diseases?
There are many cures for all diseases. One of the cures starts from within. Once again, rooting back to meditating on a star growing at your center. You focus on the intent of healing as you focus on that star. Raising your vibratory state, your quarks, the photoradionic waves within your quarks become highly excited. The mitochondria within your cells receive energy from those quarks, from their general makeup, and as a result of that, recharge your cells to be able to replicate properly. Cancer cells have a whole different vibratory resonance in your body, and what happens is your body will reject those cells as you increase your vibratory state. Flushing those cells out through your system, they become recycled. Those proteins go back into your blood and are finally metabolized through your body and passed out of your system. So, yes, there are many cures for it. You have cures that are readily available here. If you're not able to raise your vibratory state to the point of healing, cannabis oil, CBD oil, and there are many types of alkaline substances you can take that will also cure cancer. Cancer does not exist in an oxygen-rich alkaline environment. It exists within an environment. It's also produced by certain cancer enzymes that are injected into your body through vaccines. This is widely known in the pharmaceutical industry to be added to their vaccines, as well as substances like squalene. Squalene is found as a viscous liquid in, not to be disgusting, but in the female parts of cows and humans and other animals that they use as a filler for their vaccines, which also causes massive inflammation in the body and other things to happen. So, as I was saying, there are many cures for cancer. It's a matter of choosing the right cure that works for you, Joe. And meditating on a star growing at your center is one of the easiest ways to cure disease, to cure sickness and ailments, even to cure pain and to cure your body, to heal your body, regenerate your joints, regenerate your nervous system, because it causes increased regeneration of your cells, not just specific cells in your body, but everything regenerates at once from the inside out. So I hope that answers your question.
Devin has a question in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. What is the relationship dynamic between individuals in your original culture?
We hold relationships across many cycles. They are not limited to one single lifetime, because if we recycle there, and that does happen sometimes, we retain our memory there. We are not white. We don't forget who we are, where we came from. We don't forget our collective memory either. Everything is retained cross cycles. So if you have a relationship start in one cycle, you may have it for many, many hundreds or thousands of cycles. It's not exactly a marriage. We don't believe in a contract marriage the way you do here. It's more of a partnership, a union across many cycles. And it's always between a male and a female. We don't believe necessarily in homosexuality, although it's just not logical.
Brian, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say that it's just not logical. It doesn't mean that we are against love. We believe in love of all types. It's just in our society, it's a matter of logic. I hope that answers your question.
Brian is asking, when focusing on a growing star, do you feel the star growing at the center or see an image of yourself with the growing star?
Focus on a real star growing at your center, starting small and then growing very big and bright. Now, this can be any star. We're not talking about a pentagram. We're talking about a real living star growing at your center. And this creates the intention throughout every molecule that makes up your body of increasing your vibratory state. They all respond to it immediately. You will feel it.
Next question comes from Shar. Are some aliens really demons in disguise?
There are many different types of what you call demons. There are those that are physically here, and those are what you refer to as reptilians. They look very demonic, the way they look if they are not in any human form. There are those that are phased out, that are not quite high enough in vibratory frequency to physically exist in this plane, but they can still physically interact and cause harm to individuals. You got to understand that the frequencies here within this plane work like a radio dial. You have many different stations. And you can be between stations and still hear another with a lot of noise. That's about where these beings reside. They're not quite here, but they are. I hope that answers your question.
Claudia has a couple of questions. She is asking, Audrey, have you been shown in our future, will we be traveling using holograms?
You will not be traveling using holograms. You'll be traveling using physical vehicles that can travel outside of this planet. That is in your future. That is not in your immediate future. But there will be a day when you have the technologies, after all of these wars, after the cabal is gone, and you have the freedom to design and create and explore, you will be traveling. I guarantee that.
Her next question is, what's the furthest destination you can remember traveling to, and how many dimensions did you have to go through?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer. I've been as far out as Sirius. One of my very first times descending here to this plane was in Sirius. And we were very far out away from this place. The Andromedan galaxy was a good distance as well. You have the Lyran star system, which was also much further out as well, and the Pleiades is just a hop, skip, and a jump, as I've heard said, away from this distance. So I've been within a range of this area, but not entirely far. I haven't gone as far out as many galaxies away, no. I've always been between this galaxy, Milky Way, and Andromeda.
Final question from Claudia. Have you ever been shown the Akashic Records? And if so, what can you recall from them that was very important to share with humanity?
Exactly what I'm sharing. It's a very simple question to answer.
There is a great debate in the SOR space travelers on who has nicer hair, Joe Algier or Corinne de Winter. What is your opinion on that?
Well, that's a very difficult question to answer. However, I would have to agree that Joe Algier's hair looks amazing.
I'm getting a good laugh off of that one. I really am. It's a good debate going on right now. Really good debate. All right. Let's get to another question. This is from Devin. Is there anything we can do to assist you on obtaining your ship again?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer. That would involve physically raiding a specific facility. And as they are still very armed, although mostly shut down, I wouldn't want to have anyone risk their lives helping me do that. I would more quickly do that myself and risk losing myself than to lose anyone else in the process.
All right, I got a question in the Wolf Spirit chat room for you. And this one comes from Fedator. What can you tell us about the Archons?
Well, the Archons were not necessarily a bad race. They were trying to help. They have not been here for a very, very long time. However, I have made note that some people have communicated with them. They are a race that primarily stays to themselves. They don't always interfere. They do explore, but we've never really had dealings with them on our councils at all. I know of them, but I've never had any face-to-face interaction with an Archon.
OJ is asking in Wolf Spirit, are you familiar with the group of Pleiadians who speak through Barbara Marciniak?
Well, there are many groups that have spoken through her. One of our groups, Semjazi, pronounced also Semyazi, I've heard many times here. More of you would be familiar with that or my specific plan.
Okay, we can get in another question now. This one comes from HZHN74. Audrey, are pulse magnetic machines helpful for improving our health?
That really depends on the frequency that they're emitting. There are certain frequencies that the human body can take. There are others that are very damaging. We normally use a vibratory machine if we are going to use frequencies like that to heal ourselves. It's the closest thing I can describe it as would be a healing pad. And I was actually just talking about that on the Wolf Spirit Radio pre-record that I did with JP. He aired that on Thursday, I believe. Was it Thursday? I forget. All of these radio broadcasts are beginning to blur together, Dave.
Just worry about this one. That's all I ask. We'll get the word out to everybody.
Okay.
That's kind of the way we like to do it here. At least. That's why I like to think about it. I know there's a few more questions here. Devin is asking in a follow-up to his question in regards to trying to help you get your ship. He's asking, would a group meditation work?
Focusing on the intent of lightening the hearts of the people holding it would be very helpful. At least then they wouldn't try to shoot me in the head if I tried to approach their facility.
Corrine is asking, what is the best way to get EVPs? There are many different theories.
Electronic voice phenomenon is a way of capturing voices of entities that are phased out, that are without a physical body.
One second here. Samantha, I need you to stop doing the dishes if you don't mind.
I was not doing that. My dog just ran over to me. Sorry, guys. One second.
That's okay. I like my theory that you were doing the dishes better. It sounded more fun.
The best way to get a good EVP would be through an analog recording device. Digital is not exactly always reliable, although things can be analyzed quickly more in real time. But to capture frequencies that are not quite in this particular frequency, if you're recording, you want to use a very high-end microphone, not low-end, and use an analog device like tape recorder would be beautiful. Analog devices record much better in some circumstances like this than digital. I know that Tesla created some machines to try to capture voices as well. His Spirit machine, for instance, Spirit Radio that he had created, was able to tune into multiple frequencies, and he was able to start picking up voices as well. So there are many various ways to do this. It really depends on how accurate of an EVP you want to capture. Analog devices are usually best.
There you go.
How you doing, James?
Good. I used to use analog all the time. A little mini cassette recorder. I got some good results there. I'm doing good.
Awesome. Just making sure you're still with us. Joe says that question about the hair was the best question we've ever asked on this show.
I agree.
He's got really long hair, man. I admire his hair too.
He does have fantastic hair. I think Joe should change his profile name to Joe's Hair.
I think his hair competes with mine.
Yours is thicker, I believe. You got very thick hair. Samantha, you got the luscious red hair, so you're just kind of...
I'm good.
Yeah, you're good.
I've got hair.
At least you've put the dishes in the dishwasher now, so we appreciate that.
No, my dog ran up to me and her tail was so excited that she's hitting a recycling bin.
I have an interesting question coming up from Spear in the Space Out Radio chat room. I do want to get to it, but there's a couple questions just ahead here. Gail has a question asking Audrey, does raising your vibratory frequency attract extraterrestrials to you, to abduct you, or do other uninvited things?
Everything you do will be a double-edged sword. If you raise your frequency, you're always going to attract more vibrating beings. It's no different than a light bulb moths and insects at night. The more that you raise your frequency, the more you're going to find you are attracting. The best thing you can do to protect yourself from that is to raise your vibratory state more by focusing on a star growing at your center and focus on creating a Merkaba field. And this will help ease the amount of attention that you are drawing, at least the amount of attacks you receive by raising your vibratory state. So everything is a double-edged sword, but the thing to do is to continue to raise your vibratory state. Don't stop. You're suddenly noticing that you're attracting certain things out there that you don't want. It's a system of control to scare you away from raising your vibratory state. Don't stop doing it. I hope that helps.
Bill Cardwell has a question. He is asking, Audrey, do you see any possibility that humans will attain a level 2 or 3 on the Kardashev scale?
Eventually. There will be a day that you will. It's going to take some time, but all of you will eventually evolve to that point. And it's going to take time without DNA manipulation from poisons and toxins and chemicals. You have to stray away from the pharmaceutical industry, stray away from eating poisonous foods or mixed with poisons and chemicals, and stop breathing toxic air. You need to drink pure waters that are living. The waters here are very poisoned and they're very sick. And drinking sick, poisoned water also makes you very sick and poisoned. It doesn't help your vibratory state. So if you want to reach those levels, you have to start by purifying the things you take in. You have to start focusing on a star growing at your center and do this for many cycles. Eventually you'll reach that level. And people will eventually start coming. Our people will be able to reach this planet and share technologies. The more that you evolve, the more we'll be able to share.
Samantha, Bill Cardwell is commenting about how you're a beautiful ginger just like he is. He has no problem with your hair.
Thank you so much. I love being a ginger.
And Samantha and Audrey, Spear is asking a question. Could you two compare ship types or home types or something that you could mutually compare from your culture? It might help one place a time for another or even remembrance of memory.
Well, is that
Sure, I can try.
Okay, is that question directed at...
It's for both of you here.
What types of vehicles that we've seen? Or is that referring to vehicles we know of?
I'm going
I've
to...
seen a couple different types of craft.
Yeah, let's talk
Sorry,
about...
Dave, please go.
Let's talk about the craft then, because Samantha, you recall the craft that you were on. Maybe you could explain it, and Corey can, or not. I mean, Audrey will. I'm thinking of somebody else here. I just got a message from my booking coordinator, Corey, and I'm reading that at the same time. This is what happens when you try and do way too much. Sorry, Audrey. Okay. When you... Maybe you can describe your ship that you were on, Samantha, and Audrey can then maybe see if his was different. We only got about 4 minutes left in the show.
Okay. Well, most of the time when I end up astral projecting onto craft when it comes to being Pleiadians, typically I find myself in a school-like setting. So I'll normally find myself in a room with about 4, maybe 6 other people. Normally it's got an instructor. There's not a lot of furniture. It doesn't really look like anything's... Like, how can I describe it? It's not as colorful as we have it. It's not like when you have encounters with stuff like the Greys or the Reptilians on craft. The Reptilian crafts typically tend to look very gray and very mechanical. The gray ones tend to have very white rooms that are so bright. The Pleiadian ones, from my experience, have been different again, because typically I have seen stuff in my encounters with them where there are plants, and it's more of a cream color, and I tend to see more of a table and chairs, but that doesn't really look like the chairs are like our normal chairs. They don't have the same spacing like ours do. They're more, I don't know how to describe it, almost like one piece.
There's
it's not
a single unit attached to the floor, merged with the floor of the vehicle. Go ahead.
1 second. I'm just trying to go through different crafts in my head, trying to make sure I'm only doing Pleiadian ones and not ones that are more other species oriented. Let's see, that's fine. Normally, it's not so bright that you squint with your eyes, but I don't recall ever seeing where their light source is either, so it almost looks like it's coming from all around the entire area. 1 second. When I've been on Pleiadian crafts, I often just find myself in one room. I don't have the pleasure of walking around. It's not like when I get picked up by a Grey where I tend to walk from one room into another and get escorted around. I don't know, guys. That's as much as I can remember about them. Sorry.
Our vehicles that are defensive ships that we use to guard the perimeter of our system are also used for council meetings, and they match very closely the description that you just described. Yes, they are cream color on the inside. Our tables are merged to the floor, and so are the chairs. The chairs also have a sliding apparatus on the floor that allows them to move backwards. The chairs also are able to allow the backs to pivot backwards so that you can lean back in the chair if you need to. You can adjust it as necessary.
But Audrey, whenever I found myself on their craft, I don't see things like paintings on the wall. I'm not seeing portraits. I'm not seeing any of the bric-a-brac that we tend to have in our homes. And I'm not seeing the same sterility like that you'd find if you're on craft where there's reptilians or military or Greys, where it looks like it's cold. It tends to have more of a pleasant vibration, but I don't really recall seeing plants on there, but it has a living essence to it. So I'm not quite sure how that works.
Our vehicles generally have a room with plants in them. We have an engine room in there to be able to tune the system, so tune the graviton motors and the photoradionic drive if we have to. We have a room in our ships where we can go to have small meetings. We have another room that we have pods in, which allow for us to heal. We also use those for long journeys as kind of a stasis chamber, which helps maintain our vibratory state and our level of youth as we travel long distances. Our vehicles, as far as the defensive vehicles, which have only certain weaponry that we only use in times of defense, only if we need to protect our system from an attack from, let's say, a fleet of Alpha Draconian, which we've had to do before. Our vehicles are very spacious. Yes, they have kind of a cream color. It is bright on the inside. But we also, at the hull of the vehicle, we have a panel that we use that has it has a place for both of our hands with 5 fingers versus the Zetas, which only has a place for 3, that we use to drive our vehicles using just our minds.
I got a question for you guys because we're running a little bit late here. Are you okay to do another half hour? Would you like a little overtime? It's up to you, Audrey.
A small break. We will go overtime if you would like.
All right, we're going to go overtime. We're going to hop out on a break here. And if you want to
do that horn, you do that horn.
I will do the overtime horn when we get back. Don't worry, man. That's tradition around here. We're going to go overtime on Spaced Out Radio right after this. We're going to take a break here at the top of the hour, and we'll be back with you. You are listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We're going overtime next. Good night.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news?
Fantastic
Head to
show, everybody.
spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, news director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with UFOria. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries, so tune in at spacedoutradio.com.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions.
Have you ever wondered about those weird and strange creatures people have reported throughout history? Do you wonder if those stories are real? Me too, and that's why I started Cryptopia.us. Hey, this is Rob Morphy, crypto historian. Join me once a month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will get into the odd and bizarre reports, from the Dover Demon to hairy hominids and everything in between. I will break down what people like you and me are seeing at spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
From British Columbia to Northern California, Pacific North Weird has Cascadia covered. Check out our feature videos at spacedoutradio.com, where I, Vincent Zunza, and my super sleuth partner Alexandra Sullivan track down the weird and strange stories from around the Pacific Northwest, from Bigfoot to Mel's Hole and everything in between. This is what makes life exciting. So why report the normal when we can report the Pacific North Weird right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Oh, there's only one way to rock. Loud and proud. In high definition. Radio 702 rocks. Las Vegas.
Have you ever had an extraterrestrial experience? One you just couldn't explain? Well, maybe I can help. Hello, I am Samantha Mowat. On the second Tuesday of each month, I will join Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio to bring a human aspect to ET contact. It's something I've lived with my entire life, and I'd love to help you understand. Let's share our experiences. The ET Experience, the second Tuesday of each month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Reveal Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrr.wix.com/rivuletrr&r.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness. You can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Do you have a topic or a guest that you'd like to hear on Spaced Out Radio? Let us know at spacedoutradio.com, where you can sign up to become a Space Traveler member today. Or you can find us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on our Facebook page, Spaced Out Radio Show.
I don't want to take a thing from you. I just want to feel like something real with you. I just want to fly high to
We're going into overtime here on Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Good to have you with us. We're going to the bottom of the hour here, so we got about 24 minutes to get all of your questions in to Audrey, Samantha, James Borg with the People's Mullet. Good to have you with us on this occasion. Thank you so much for being with us. Audrey, we've had a lot of questions in regards to what you have gone through. And right before the break, you and Samantha were comparing ships, and you were talking about the similarities that you both have experienced. What about on land? Samantha, I recall you and I sitting in a channeling session, which was one of the first channelings, actually it was the first channeling session I ever did with you. And I remember going through a time warp in order to get to where you were. And the building that I was shown, which was very, like, miles up in the sky, a crystalline type blue with gold all over the place. Maybe describe your land on what you recall, and then Audrey can come on in and maybe compare the two. Oh, okay.
setting time rather than midday, but those are the colors in the sky that I can recall. It looked to be warmer than here overall. It didn't seem to have the same forest that we have here in Canada. From what I recall, it wasn't tropical, but it looked a lot warmer and more lush. The vibration was higher than here. From what I remember seeing, it almost looked like each area was, one second, what am I seeing? It's almost like the houses are on their own parcel of land, and it looked like they were in larger sections. I don't recall seeing roads. I don't recall seeing, it almost looked like when you're looking at the homes, it looked like it had like a very, not earthy, that's definitely the wrong way, but almost like a crystalline essence from what I recall, where it looks like they're very much so connected to their planet, almost like it's an extension of the planet somehow, like they're built with like the planet's awareness. I'm not sure if that's a good way to describe it, but that's how I recall seeing them. I don't recall seeing any very large buildings. Maybe that's just because that's not what I was shown. When I've seen it, I've been shown two different buildings in my experiences. One was more of a home-type place, and the other one was more of a school or training institute. And that one didn't seem to have glass over the windows, but there was some sort of energetic thing going over the windows that would prevent not bugs from coming in, but emit some sort of vibration where they just didn't seem to go through there. I don't remember much of it, guys. I'm sorry.
Audrey, what are you picking up? What's your homeland like?
Well, my homeland, we have a light greenish hue of an atmosphere, and that's due to certain plant life that actually lives in the air that we put there. The chlorophyll in the cells that float in the air actually cause the atmosphere to look a very gentle green. Our planet has a very, it's more silicate based. You have a lot of silica in the soil. And in the daylight, the beaches with silicate sand in them actually glisten almost silver. Our lands are very similar, yes. It's warm. There are some times when we have an aurora, what you call an aurora borealis, happen where the sky will look greens, purples, and blues, yes. But that happens rarely, as Lyra actually sits further out from star Atlas than, let's say, the Earth to the Sun. Rarely do we receive a solar flare. During a half of the year, we have a 5-star formation because Atlas aligns with 4 of the stars, which are in the system. When you're looking in from the direction of Atlas, our star aligns with Alcyone, Electra, Maya, Tegeta, and then Merope is further south. So it makes it look beautiful when the stars are rising. One side of the planet will be incredibly bright, while the other side remains in darkness. During the other half of the year, we have a 4-star formation on one side that rises and sets, and as it rises, Atlas sets on the other side. And then as the 4-star formation sets, Atlas rises on the opposite side of the planet. So the planet is completely surrounded by light during half of the year. So it's a very warm planet. It's not incredibly warm. It's not hot like it gets here. We don't rise up into, let's say, the hundreds of degrees in temperature. We don't have deserts there. It's a very moist planet. It's lush with green foliage. It's lush with life, as we brought much life there. The planet itself, initially, when we first found it, was almost uninhabitable. We had to terraform the atmosphere in order to make it breathable, and it took at least close to 100 Earth years, I estimate, for us to make the atmosphere livable. The temperature there ranges anywhere from, the coldest during the winter times, anywhere from 45 to 50 degrees, to the warmest being about 86 degrees. And the coldest at during the night times there, during the summer times, where we have both suns on either side of the planet, the coldest it will get is only about 74 degrees or less, slightly less. So it's very temperate. The climate is very livable. Temperatures are not so hot. We've built our buildings very sparsely close together, and that is because it helps with airflow. It helps to not create what you call here a microclimate. You don't like to create a spot of incredibly high temperatures due to, let's say, concrete or asphalt. We don't use that there. So Lyra is a very temperate planet with a nice, very gentle green atmosphere. I hope that answers your question.
Shar has a question for you, Audrey, in regards to animals. What kind of animals do they have there? Or have you taken species of our animals and brought them back?
Well, contrary to that, we've brought some to this planet. We used to have a colony here a long time ago. We have a lot of aquatic life there, but at the time there was no real land life on the planet when we found it. The aquatic life consisted of what you call crustaceans, similar to octopuses and squids. We found a lot of those in the oceans. There's some other marine life that exists there, some smaller fish, very small, the size of tadpoles. There's really nothing large that existed there, as the planet was so young when we found it. There was very little life, but we brought in some animal life. We adopted some life from this planet, like sheep and cows. We've taken some life to actually create a population on the planet, but we don't have insects. At least we don't have insects that harm you, per se. We do have bees that we took that help pollinate. But the planet, we really had to introduce life to the planet in order for it to be sustainable, to create an ecosystem. So we brought in a lot of plant life from Old Lyra and Lemuria, plant life that multiplies by spreading cells into the air that land to the ground, and then they multiply and create another plant. These plants are more closely related to what you would call, there's a plant here, I'm trying to recall the name at this time, a succulent. They're very full of moisture. We've had many different variations of succulents that grew on Old Lyra and Old Lemuria that we brought over to New Lyra, as well as Era and Orca and Romulus, the other 4 planets. We also introduced some to the moon of Era, which is it's close to the size of the moon Titan. It also has an atmosphere that we made livable. We populated that moon that orbits Era, which causes a wobble in its orbit as it orbits Alcyone because of the mass of that moon in relation to the size of Era. Orca is more of a water planet. You find things there such as whales and dolphins. And we brought some of those to this planet long ago. They're very closely related to what you call mammals. They have many physiological differences, but a lot of similarities. There are lots of different types of mammal life that we introduced to Earth a long time ago. Our mammal life, it consisted of things that are very closely related to marmots. And they those animals evolved here over many millions of years. Those animals originated on Old Lyra. So speaking about animal life, we have many variations. Birds we do not have. We don't have any forms of reptile life. We don't have lizards. We don't have snakes. We don't have dinosaurs. We don't have any form of reptilian life that exists on our planets at all. So those were strictly introduced to this planet by your reptilian species that populates this planet on the inside, as well as some on the outside in different forms, hybrids, Anunnaki. So I do hope that answers your question. I don't want to fill the whole rest of our overtime with that.
Another question from Claudia here, and that would be, many women have had their babies taken during pregnancy. Are those children chosen and raised by the off-worlders to come back and teach us all they know? Or was it for genetic engineering purposes by aggressive races who hold no regard for human life? Samantha, you can answer that one after Audrey.
In my experience, I've never had any of the benevolent races take any of my offspring. The ones that I've had taken from me, I have not had returned. So I would believe it to be negative rather than benevolent. But that's just my opinion and my experience. Your turn, Audrey.
Well, they do take them sometimes to study the evolution of the people, the current state of the genetic structure, looking for certain genetic markers that indicate that the people are progressing or digressing in their evolution. Another reason would be to test to see if we can actually teach the children in their current state to understand what we understand from a young age, to be able to learn to meditate, learn Ascension. Our children, when they're about the age of 4 Lyran years, we start teaching them to meditate. We start teaching them to learn to understand Ascension a little bit, and that's provided that they are new to our planet, new to this plane, because there are some that come from the fourth that are fresh here and that don't have a memory, a collective memory of their past cycles, because it is their first. We do get some newcomers a lot, and this happens periodically throughout cycles. But we have a system of teaching, and we've studied some of the children here in certain instances to see if they're still capable of learning, see if we can teach the people. It helped us better understand a way to teach you all here, to understand things as I am now, to understand how to best convey things to you. Unfortunately, studying the children really didn't help in that regard. For me, being here was the best education I think I've had about this place, about your society, your people, the state of your government, the source of your problem, and all of your problems. You know, rather than studying a child, it's easier to study the entire population by living among them. To learn to do all of the things that you do here. Learn to speak English, learn to hold a job, to be able to better find a solution to all of your problems. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, for sure. For sure, and I appreciate that. When we go through these alien species that have come here, a lot of people are very concerned about their weaponry, their purpose of coming here. Are they here to take us over, to make us slaves, make us food? That's what a lot of people believe and think. And it's a good, honest fear in most people. Eric is wondering in the SOR Space Travelers Club, who do you guys watch out for as Pleiadians?
Well, that's a very easy question to answer. We watch out for Alpha Draconians and Anunnaki. Our new enemy, if you want to call them that, were the Anunnaki. They were newcomers to the scene. Reptilians we've always had to deal with. We dealt with them in our old Lyran system. A long time ago, they overran our planet with a species of Alpha Draconian that looked like locusts almost. They looked like insects. They raided our planet with them, and we were forced to flee. We didn't at the time have the weaponry or the technology to defend ourselves. So all we could do was leave with those of us that survived. We had many casualties. So we've had many dealings with Alpha Draconians. It's nothing new. We had to develop weaponry, not because we wanted to, but because it was a necessity to protect ourselves against them. In a war that happened over 244,000 years ago, we had, for the first time, we had to use our weaponry to fight them off because they had found us in our Pleiadian system, and they attempted to raid both New Lyra and Era. They did not find Orca or Romulus, but they tried to hit New Lyra first, and we began chasing them out into the open of our system with our vehicles, our defensive vehicles, to fight them off. We shot many and blew their holes out. Others fled really quickly, and others tried to fly back into our system to find another planet that was not as defended. They started flying towards Era, and we drove them back out again. At that time, they flew out to these coordinates, and we pursued them. We fought them outside of this planet. The fight started when we first entered this particular solar system. We caught up with them near the orbit of Saturn, and we continued trying to fire upon them as they were fleeing towards what we later found to be Earth. So, a couple of them fled to what you call Mars, a planet that is not as dead as you think. And we did not pursue them thereafter. Some shots were fired, and a couple did hit that planet. However, we continued pursuing them towards Earth, and near the outside of the orbit of Earth, they had timed our weaponry. They determined how long it takes us to charge up our pulsars, which are vibratory resonance weapons. It usually took, in your time, approximately a little less than 5 minutes for them to reach full charge before we could set them off in multiple shots. They started opening fire on our vehicles as we were charging up our weapons again, and they blew out a bunch of those hulls, and they boarded some of those ships and drove them to the surface of Earth. That's how a lot of these Pleiadians, these people that have Pleiadian lineage, ended up here. It was in that simple war, which didn't last very long. Unfortunately, they took the parents. They killed the parents, and they took the children and raised them under Anunnaki rule, which began in Africa. And they began ruling them under pretenses of slavery leadership system. So you had Anunnaki sitting and posing as gods to these people that knew no better at that time, because they were children raised to adults to know nothing but slavery.
We got time for one more question here once you finish this answer.
As I was saying, we've had many dealings with Alpha Draconians. It's nothing new. I'll leave it at that.
Final question for the night for you will be coming from Brian in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. He is asking, Audrey, can you comment on what you know or believe in the Mandela Effect?
That's a very easy thing. Ironically, I was speaking to Jessica Morocco of Wolf Spirit Radio about that very same topic. And I was also speaking to Samantha about it, I believe, here earlier in this broadcast between breaks. We were talking about how these timelines intersect. Sometimes you end up with variables between timelines. Each timeline is a different frequency, like a different radio station. Once again, we'll go back to that example. And what happens is you have two timelines, one on each side of the one that you're within, and every once in a while these timelines crisscross, and what happens is that certain variables change. And you notice those variables change. Each timeline has an equal set of variables, all with slightly different values. And as these crisscross, like a double helix or a triple helix, they will cause certain changes to happen. And those that are within the timeline that is in the center normally notice all of those changes. If they're awake enough, you'll see that certain things change because the variables are copied from one timeline to the next, only in that intersection. After they cross intersection, then those variables remain with those new values. Does that make sense?
Totally. And on that note, we're capping it. Overtime is done, over, and out. James Borg, Samantha Mowat, Audrey, thank you for doing this tonight. All three of you were absolutely fantastic. And to stick around for overtime for 30 minutes, that was beautiful. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
You guys hold on. I'm going to wrap up this show. We got Mr. Bumblefoot wrapping things up here. Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses, the official music of Spaced Out Radio. I want to thank everybody in the Revolution Radio chat room, Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook, and apparently Wolf Spirit Radio was tuning in. Thank you, all of you. If you want to find a replay of this broadcast, all you have to do is as soon as we're wrapped up here, it's going to restart at spacedoutradio.com, or you can go to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, and listen to it there in about an hour or so, and everything will be good. Tomorrow night on the show, September 1st, we're talking Bigfoot. Bono from Bono's Bigfoot Tavern is going to be with us. Bono Russell's going to fill us in on the big hairy beast. God, I love talking Sasquatch. I still don't think it's from here, but geez, it's a good topic. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show, our website, spacedoutradio.com, where you find all the features that you need to find out about this show. We do it 3 hours a night, 7 days a week, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. One of our great listeners, Shar, in the Spaced Out Radio chat room, happy birthday to you, my dear. Thank you for sharing your birthday with us. That means a lot. Mr. Bumblefoot's taking you home. Have a good one. Good night.
I know you're out there somewhere. This is the new totalitarian state. 1,000 eyes are waiting for you to break. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching.